Ready to go.
We're ready to go. All right. I call to order this Historic Preservation Commission meeting, City of Rose, Texas, on September 17th, 2024 at 5:30 PM. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call. Ann Carver,
Present.
Gabriel Campos,
Here, present.
Scott Cole,
Here.
J.C. Stone,
Present.
Karen Braswell,
Here.
Ember McCoon, present. Melinda Patrick, I am here, and that is a quorum. The first item on the agenda is our consent agenda. It is the approval of minutes from the August 2024 preservation, let me rephrase that. August 20th, 2024 Preservation Commission meeting and certificate of appropriateness applications as submitted by Jane's Doe Company for 101 East Elm Street.
I move that item number 1 be removed at this time so that corrections can be made.
Okay, I'm sorry, mine looks a little different than the one I have, so I'm kind of trying to play off two. So 1 is the minutes.
That's correct.
Okay. And you want to move it to just the next meeting?
No, I just want to move it out and we can vote on the consent agenda item and then we can discuss the corrections and then vote on it.
Okay, so you want to move it down to consideration?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I don't understand what you want.
There are corrections that need to be made to the minutes.
Okay,
We have to, right now, you're asking for a vote on the consent agenda item as submitted, both of them.
but you want to have discussion on it.
I want the corrections made, and so therefore it needs to come out so we can make those corrections and then we can vote on it.
I suppose you move it up front.
Okay,
Well, we either have to move it down discussion to,
no, because you just have to make corrections to.
so then let's make the corrections. Can we do that?
All right, I just need, on item number 15 of the minutes, in the third sentence into it, it says it was suggested that Representative Catherine and Kelly from the Texas CLG, it is Catherine with a K, and it's Katharine Shelton. And she is actually with the North Texas Project Reviewer with the Texas Historical Commission. She's not with the CLG division.
Okay.
So that needed to be corrected in there. And Kelly Little is she is the CLG coordinator. So that just needed to be corrected in our minutes.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other corrections to make to this?
I think there was one that I saw on number 2,
Mhm.
appointment of secretary for Preservation Commission. I believe that was Karen that made the nomination and not Ann.
You are correct.
Thank you.
What number is that, Scott?
That was number 2.
Number 2, okay. Okay, motion was made by Karen. And second was Ember.
Yes.
Okay. And where's the Catherine one at? I'm not seeing it.
It's on item number 15, the last item on the
How am I missing
minutes, third line.
Oh, golly. Okay, are there any other changes? Can we move forward with the minutes as is? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to move. with-
What else you want to do?
Including the changes.
Are we, because the motion needs to be to include the application as submitted. Because you just put it all into one, even though I wanted.
And I said that I was reading and I had to reread it because I was reading two different consent agendas.
Okay,
Because on my cheat sheet, it was all in one, rolled into one,
okay.
which you know, because you're reading the same thing as me.
Yep.
All right. There's already a motion on the table.
I second it.
All in favor of approving the minutes from August 20th, 2024? 7-0 carries. All right, second consent agenda is item number 2. Consider approval of certificate of appropriateness application as submitted by James Doe Company for 101 East Elm. This one's got my cheat sheet.
She's already taken the bill.
Yeah, I was gonna say
She's
that.
already taken it down, so that's why it's a consent agenda item.
Yeah.
That was put
that's
up
why
after
it's-
2010 or something. It's a March
It was-
version. It was put up after the historic resources survey was done.
Yeah,
It's not in the photos.
Mm-mm.
So it was new and now it is on. Do I have a motion?
I made that motion.
All in favor? 7-0 carries. All right, here we go. Okay, individual items for consideration. Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding a certificate of appropriateness application as submitted by Scott Burgess for 103 Southwest Bernard. Oh, you're supposed to be presenting this, Larry.
I'm James Johnston, but I work with Scott Burgess. And yes, we were here to talk about 103 Southwest Bernard, currently hot mess. Got an easy one for y'all tonight, folks. Exact replacement front door, exact replacement back door, same color that it's currently at, noir. I mean, like I said, that's what we got. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds great.
Does anyone have any discussion? Questions?
The bottom of the doors are kind of rotted, you know, so like I said, they're, you know, they need replaced. And we're going right back with the same wood doors, same panes of glass.
Same single pane glass?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, the front door is exactly the same, back door is exactly the same color.
How dare you make it so easy?
I was gonna say, that's kind of boring.
I didn't want to bring pizza.
Well,
Great pace.
to just interject on that, folks, that was one of the things I wanted to think about, that would this be considered maintenance, routine
Yes.
maintenance? So later down the agenda, we'll talk about it, but this is one of those items.
Yeah, and I actually brought that up to Larry last month in regards to this before I filed to come in here and speak with you guys.
We still had to come
The
here.
door should have just been replaced.
That's kind of what we thought, but like I said,
Ordinary
we
maintenance.
were 8 weeks out on ordering a door, so I had 6 weeks to get over here and speak with y'all.
Sure we do.
Do I have a motion?
I make that motion to accept it as submitted for 103 Southwest Bernard to have the front and rear doors replaced with the exact doors, matching doors.
A second.
Amber seconds that. All in favor?
Oh, sorry.
7-0 carries.
I was trying to do notes.
See you later.
It's gonna be a pizza party next month. I promise.
Next month
Can I
will
ask
be.
a question? Is it appropriate to ask a question?
During the discussion period,
Oh, I'm
but-
sorry.
go for it.
I heard you talk about maintenance. If it's ordinary maintenance, I represent a couple of buildings on the square.
That is actually gonna be an agenda
It's on
item
the
on
agenda.
our agenda,
And
so
you're gonna
stay
discuss-
tuned and stick around, it's gonna be
Down
exciting.
number 10.
All right, well,
That's all.
gotta go someplace.
Oh.
I'll read your minutes for next week.
You want us to hang out with you?
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
I just-
routine maintenance should be
Yeah,
on item 11.
And you know what, if you go onto the City of Glen Rose, Facebook page, you can actually watch us live from your kitchen while you're sitting there having coffee tonight.
I read your minutes for today, so I'm interested in what you got. I own the whole building between O'Reilly's and Best Western,
Oh, yeah.
that old house, so,
Yeah, the old,
But that's-
the old section 21.
yeah, Hill Century 21, so, but we're not in historic district, so.
I get to visit you soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got certificate occupancy for the new one, where it goes in it.
We need to
Okay,
come forward.
got it. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I messed up here, folks. Because Heather, our HBO officer, is not here, actually, Larry is supposed to be presenting, so I'm going to turn it back over to him. I got a little,
It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. Heather and I discussed it. Briefed by Heather, so you know what's happening.
but I'm not supposed to vote if I present in her position, so,
I got you. The next item, that's fine.
yeah,
There
we're
we
gonna
go.
switch it over.
Next item that's on this agenda is the wayfinding signs for downtown. And once again, all I know is what's in the packet.
That's
I just got
all
this,
you
so
can
Troy is gonna
tell
present.
us.
Troy is gonna present.
Hello, Commissioners. How are y'all?
Welcome, Troy.
So we're putting wayfinding signs around town. We're going at 167. We will be putting some in the town square. We're looking at probably 4 in the town square. We're gonna put them all right in front of Bernard Mill.
That suits us just
Same.
fine.
Crazy person inside. Now, we would put one at the stop sign coming from the west at Elm, and then another one at Walnut. And then, reversing on the other way, coming from the east, one at Walnut. And then, probably the other one might be coming down Hereford. When you get to Vine.
Vine and Hereford.
Yeah, probably, which isn't in the historic district, but it'll point to the left.
It's
So,
in the. Doesn't even go to the,
No, it'll
doesn't
be
even do
on,
the overlay,
it'll be on the
because you're gonna go one block up.
west side.
Yeah, let's see.
Are there any questions that are, we need to have a discussion?
I'd like to I saw the presentation that he actually did at city council for
Mhm.
these wayfinder signs. And he, talked about the signs. And the reason I'm asking is because you talked one way and then you kind of, we haven't had it back a little bit and then we changed. So you talked about putting the signs up and they're pretty much the directional signs like he did here. You're gonna put at the top of the signs, he talked about putting these. Are you still putting the headers that look like?
We're going to try, however, we may get into some height difficulties, but that's That's what council wanted,
That's right.
so we're going to try to do that.
So you're gonna put,
So it's either or, option one or two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. So I just was,
That's our preference.
and if I'm not mistaken, when you presented to council, you presented that we were gonna attach these to poles that were already there, so we didn't have so many more poles in town. Are we still gonna be able to do that and put the toppers on them?
Probably not,
So we're gonna have more poles,
but we are getting rid of some poles, utility poles, so. Yeah, it is, we wanted to use the signpost, the existing street signs, and that is possible. But the street sign, when you put the, the guy just sent me this, but you literally can't see it with the other wire signs and utility pole, so it gets lost.
I understand, but that's the only reason I'm asking is because some of these folks weren't at the city council meeting and they may not have watched it and they may not have seen it. Because you really did a great presentation once we got the system to work that evening and all. And so you had a lot of great ideas.
Surprised it's working tonight.
Well, it's not really,
don't jinx me.
yeah, don't jinx this because we need it for later on. So that's why I was saying what I did, because I was there, I did see your, and it was very thought out. The only other question I have is, since we're putting the wayfinder signs up, we're putting the lights on the buildings. You were looking at, because the city council has a whole idea for the historic preservation area, and you're wanting to put street lamppost lights, and then you want the buildings to have new signage on their buildings. The only reason I'm asking this is because I know that Heather's been made aware of it and all. You know that the historical commission has an architect who is free for us to use, that does the streetscape guidelines and tells us how, doesn't tell us how, but helps us put it all together into one package where it all blends well and all. Just all about calling them and trying to see if we could kind of get
I
them.
mean, honestly, this is gonna be dictated by TxDOT. So I gotta work with them because this is TxDOT right away. And then, the placement of street signs, you cannot block a speed limit sign or stop sign
Right, but
or a,
the reason I was asking is because they would assist us in having it where we had it all at one, where it looked real cohesive and our downtown was mapped out and told where, even though we wanted it where we wanted, they would be glad to do that, but they just have somebody that might be able to pull it all together at once. And they do have, a person in who is historic TxDOT. Just ask. I didn't know if you were
Okay.
aware.
I'd love to talk to them sometime.
I got the number right here for you.
Right.
Regarding the signs, do
But
we
we're
have
gonna-
any further discussion on this agenda item?
I have one thing. How many of the signs are gonna go on a pole? Cause I'm just, right,
As many as they need to point to.
well, I guess, but my point is how, well, I mean, you're gonna have to at least have it like 7 feet from the bottom sign so nobody hits their head, right? Or,
Minimum
But
code
that
is
was
so
our
how
code
many,
ordinance.
like how high is it gonna go?
Minimum code is 6'10".
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I
And
got it.
I mean,
Just-
that is gonna dictate how many. are gonna-
Okay.
But he did do a great presentation that night at the city
And
council.
we, the second option where you have them, one squared off look may end up being the way that we have to get it. I don't know.
It's
I
not
think
really
it's
what you
gonna
want.
depend on.
Oh, everything's facing the same direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a question. They're all gonna stay generic like this. There's not gonna be any company names on
What
them.
is-
I think we've gone back and forth on, do we do names for people that are not like on the square? And, you know, so you would have like a Sexton Woods that's off, or Sexton's off, Whiskey Woods, anybody else that's off, River House off, you guys off, the Green Pickle off. And maybe direct people to places off the square. So that is a thought, but I think everybody's leaning towards just keep it restaurants. Restaurants.
That's fine.
So,
Because you're not gonna have enough for everybody.
Correct. Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Troy. Who's the intended audience? Is it people in cars, people walking, both? And it just kind of,
I
I
would
guess,
say primarily people in cars.
okay,
I mean theoretically both.
right, but
I mean, we get a lot of people that will go into the old CVP building or don't know where they're going.
Oh,
Right.
I know.
I was a director today.
Yes, yes, you helped me today, Scott.
Are these gonna be multicolored or black? Because we've got
Black.
two options,
Black is white, black lettering.
black with white.
Any other further discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion as submitted, that they can, that the city of Glen Rose can put up wayfinding signs. They have the option either or, with or without the topper on them, preferably with the topper. They will be generic in, whether it says restaurants or eatery, they are gonna put restaurant names on it or business names on it. And they will be black with white lettering.
Black with white or black with gold? We kind of want to see which.
Okay, black with, black with white lettering or black with gold lettering, depending on which looks the best. That's the motion that I made at this time.
A second.
All in favor?
Did you need me to amend it?
Well, I just don't want Troy to have to come back if they decide they want to do some colors on them or something like that. I don't think that it makes big difference one way or the other, so I would like them to just have the flexibility to make the signs, they're awesome.
Pink.
Not maybe,
No.
I do like pink. That was the only thing I was just gonna suggest, that we allowed more flexibility there, so Troy doesn't have to come back. But we're done now.
I think it'll be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you love coming here, so.
And the thing is, he can send, an amended, COA and it goes as a consent agenda item.
Sounds good.
So, there you go.
Okay,
Awesome.
thanks, Troy.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is a COA for 112 Southwest Bernard Street, built 1955. It's a little salon that's on the corner there of Cedar and Southwest Bernard. What they're requesting to place there is a movable, it's a movable structure in front. It looks like a little doghouse for contributions for dogs and cats. And they would put those in there. So it's like, it says on the side of the sign there, free dog library, please take whatever you need. So they're gonna put that out in front of their shop. If you look at the picture on the shop, that's the most probably current picture. Pretty much looks like the shop today, but that was the most recent picture that she found, okay? It's not in the 1910 resource survey.
It's not in the 1910?
That's what it said, or 2010. It's not in the 2010, so it's not there. Even though it was from 1955, it should have showed up in the resource survey, I think, but it's not in it.
Well, let me ask you this, riddle me this.
Yeah, because.
How is it in the National Register Historic District number 39 as contributing when it does not contribute to the
I
period
can't
of
answer the
significance?
question, I'm just reading from her notes.
Well,
I'm reading
let's
from
see, I've
Heather's
got
notes.
the-
It says not in the resource survey.
So while I'm looking that up, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
Is this okay with the ordinance to have this on the sidewalk?
Yes, one of the things you have to think about and this is a big confusion in our town, what is in the TxDOT right of way and what is on private property.
Okay.
Part of the sidewalks going down Bernard are on private property. Part of them are in the right of way. Can I tell you before we get the survey of downtown done? Because we need to have a actual surveyor come in and show us where those are.
So
We've
this
just- we've
would
just-
need to be in our right of way, our city right of way.
It would be
And
in
is that-
front of the building. Now, it doesn't show a location here on where, it just shows this is the building.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't show the actual location of where they would set it. Once again, it needs to be on the private property. If you notice, you already have a garbage can out front. This is not any bigger than that garbage can.
Yeah, and that garbage can moves to the curb and then goes back, so
It needs to, yes.
it does.
We're working on these kind of issues in downtown right now. Troy and I are working on how we can take care of this kind of thing with the garbage cans out there. This would be similar to having a mailbox right up in front of the building, but it's movable.
So this is gonna be on like wheels?
She didn't say how she's making it
Because I
move.
have in my
It's not
question.
on this and it's not on this.
Yeah.
But it's movable, so I'm gonna guess they pick it up and move it, so it can't be too
So she's
heavy.
gonna put it back toward, I guess, she's gonna put it back toward where the gas meters are. I mean, that portion of the building would have to be, because that's gonna be private property. Is that what you're telling us?
I'm telling you that I can't tell you where the private property is without survey. We have a lot of encroachments in downtown. This one, I would suggest, what we're finding is about, in some spaces, it's a foot, some spaces it's 18 inches. That is private property, not actual TxDOT right of way.
When I had the conversation with her, she said it would be up close to the building.
Right,
Okay.
right, and that's what I was assuming from the notes here with Heather. And I would think that if you wanna give it a position, like by the gas meters, you can do that when it's out on display, because it is movable.
Well, and I guess what I was where I was going with that was I know that the city is trying to get all of the stuff off the sidewalk as far as tables and chairs and all that. So how does this play into that agenda?
And once again, the outside display that we see.
Yeah, so are tables and chairs.
Now, what we're talking about is the outside display, or what we term as sidewalk
Mm-hmm.
sale. Now, they're allowed, but they're allowed only 3 days in a 30-day period.
Hmm.
And it has to be consecutive days.
Okay.
And it has to be a sidewalk sale for what you're selling inside the building. This is not what she sells inside the building.
Okay, so
So it doesn't fall under sidewalk sale.
Is her plan to take it in at night? Is that why it's movable?
Yeah, this.
Here's
You
the-
talk to her.
I'm
She
not
didn't
sure
say.
removable,
Yeah.
how it's gonna be stationary.
Probably a bucket with concrete in it with the post.
Is that what she said? Man, that's gonna be hard to move.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
you-
here's the,
That's not moving.
Go ahead. Ann.
That's 30 pounds.
here's the issue. And we're looking at whether this fits, whether or not, we don't look at whether or not it fits into the ordinance. What we're actually looking at, does this appropriate for the historic district? We approve it based upon that factor.
Yeah, but the ordinance still comes into play. I mean, most cities, when they do their COAs, they also have that it complies with the ordinance and
Right.
which one.
But we
So,
can't sit there, because he can't tell us where the property lines.
I couldn't
Truly
tell you
are.
if I wanted to, and I'm gonna tell you, no one else knows either, even people that have been around a while. I have heard exaggerations that the property is all the way out to the curb, but it's not. That what we're discovering, you saw it happen by the old Crave and you saw it where the
Mhm.
Mercantile went in, that's 1 foot off the building. If you go in front of our building, it's 1.5 feet. So it varies depending on where the building's located on Bernard. I have suggested, and we haven't come to a conclusion administratively, we're gonna survey all that, so we won't have this confusion when you have to deal with it. So it's a resolution that we need to get done, something that we need to resolve. As we start working on sidewalk improvements downtown, I can tell you that right now, TxDOT's gonna require those surveys, and so is anything with a downtown development grant. So
Yeah.
we're fixing those sidewalks. So everybody wants to get those sidewalks fixed, but it's much more complicated than people think. So we work on that, and this is when we'll discover where these are, depending on how far out we reach with that survey. Now,
Okay.
I've already talked to Vaughn about doing that, but this one, I can tell you, I'm going to tell you, my best guess is it's probably 1 foot to 1.5 foot off the front of the building. Once again, I think Ann made just a very viable point. Does this fit into what you want for your downtown historic district? This is the first one I've seen that was really that odd out for historic.
Well,
It has to have a COA to be there.
Well, so I guess the question is this any different than people who have planners out front or other things that are out front?
At least it does some good.
That's good. And
And how many, but at some point you've got just. too
well, you
much
got the
going
planner
on.
next door to her, you got this and all, and so, I mean, I don't have an issue with it being there, I just wanna be sure that we aren't approving it. And then she's not gonna be able to put it because she doesn't meet the ordinance,
Well, that's
Yeah,
why I was asking. about the
yeah.
ordinance.
Or it can't be moved.
There's-
or it can't be moved.
That's my concern. If it can't be moved.
Yeah, now you can make it, whether you approve or don't approve, you can make it contingent on the ordinance, and I can look to see, because this is kind of a stretch for sidewalk
Right.
sale.
Yeah.
Sidewalk sale is what you're selling in the building, it's displayed outside by definition of the sidewalk sale. This is a little bit different, this is a,
Movable permanent fixture.
it's not permanent, but it's movable. It's movable, so it can be moved. What we need to do is determine how it gets moved and when it gets moved.
And what's it
how
really
often
gonna
it gets
look like?
And
What-
what's it-
That's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
next question.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
pretty generic, and we don't know what color it's gonna be, we don't know what size it's gonna
Yeah.
be, we don't really have
That's just-
much in the way of detail.
I would say you have the option to table it to get those questions asked. If you want to tell us what the questions would be,
Yeah, it's not like
what your concerns are, and then we can bring that to the petitioner.
I mean, I'll
Heather
help, I'll help her
Heather
move it.
can
I'm
send her a
catty
letter
corner
and ask her to
too. Bring it in.
tell us what size
Just
it
come get me every
is
night. I'll come
and
up
some
with-
more, I mean, I don't, it's for the,
I don't have a problem with it.
it's for the animals, and then the
Yeah.
bookstore there on the corner caters to, I mean, she sells books, but she has her animals there too, so.
Well,
But we don't want it to be hot pink with a fuchsia.
Yeah,
roof.
that's the thing, just a little more information.
Will it be noticeable?
Well,
Yeah, it'll definitely be noticeable,
you do.
but you have a viable point, does it meet the
Okay.
paint
You know,
colors?
where the
Just
exact
paint
location
colors
is
we
gonna
need to
be.
know, and we
Okay.
certainly need to know,
I mean,
you know.
yeah, sure, it's for the dogs, but, you know, that's another thing, you know, somebody's gonna
We want
come
it
on
to
and
look
come back and say, well, she gets to keep that.
Well, that's where
Yeah,
you walk that fine line, you know, because then you start to set a precedent, and everybody's got a birdhouse or a
Right.
whatnot out front, and,
Exactly.
it might be like a beautiful bronze with gold box, or like one of those mailboxes that looks super fantastic, who knows?
So with JC's suggestion, I move that we table this until the following, because that's what you were asking, JC, was that not correct, to have it tabled until we get the color, the size, what else did you say? Because I'm doing notes.
And how are you gonna move it, right?
And how move.
exactly are you planning to move it?
So that can go back to Heather to ask her.
And if we're gonna open this door, are there gonna be other people that are gonna wanna say, I want some movable things back and forth with wheels on it, so we have to consider that.
And I think that's something that.
That's-
needs to be-
yeah.
We're gonna have to consider that, because if you allow this for her, it's movable, then you're gonna have everybody bring something up, move it back, it's got wheels, you know, so.
Or cement.
I agree.
I,
So it's,
I think more discussion.
Yeah. more-
So it's tabled.
more information.
so we're tabling it, is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And maybe add to that, Anne, if you could, that, let's get some clarification on the ordinance too before we put this
Okay.
nice lady through everything and approve
Well,
it.
yeah, we're
If she
gonna
can't
look
do
at,
it.
I'm gonna look at that anyway, because that's really not defined in the ordinance, this type of thing. This is almost like putting a mailbox in. So what are we talking?
Okay, thank you.
You still doing okay down there, Dave, with the notes?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing great.
He's writing real fast. Okay,
Technically three.
Oh.
we're tabled, is that official?
Yes,
Yeah, it's
sir.
tabled.
Okay. All right, the next agenda item is gonna be for Jane Doe Company, better known as Bait. We're all talking about the old welding shop that sits there on the corner at 101 Elm Street. The petition is coming now on this agenda item for improvements to the doors and windows and lighting that's there. All of the building will stay the same. I'll let the petitioner talk to you about what is happening there. You all know that this was built in 1960. There was not anything it indicated in the 10 years ago that showed the shed that was on the side that we condemned and had removed because it was in bad shape. There's gonna be a door in that place, and that side underneath the awning will be some feature windows that are storefront windows and doors to allow people to come in and out of the bake. The actual entry will be on the a proposed addition for a little shed roof that goes there on the side. It's gable. And it have an entry into that rustic looking roof. That's the entry for the main baked floor, where you come in and you shop, do your thing, and then you go out and sit
So
on
the main
patio.
entry, okay, never, I'll wait until we
We'll
know
let the
all.
petitioners
Yeah,
here, so let them talk to you about this.
Yes, thank you.
This will improve the look of it quite a bit, and it won't detract from it. It's not a contributing building, and it won't detract from the historic value.
Well, we'll get to all that later.
Okay, well, let them,
That's, yeah, let's.
it's your petition. You gonna do it? All right. It's like I never see you.
My name's Ron Sneeless. I'm working with Chris to help renovate, yes, the old welding shop and turn it into a bank, Glenrose. Right now, it's just kind of a hollowed out metal oversized shed with a concrete floor. We cleaned out the inside, all the junk, spiderweb stakes, everything out of there. What we want to do, she loves the building, she loves the look of the building, so we want to keep the building the same. The only thing we're gonna do is underneath, there's an awning that sits on the front, that's right across the street from Sexton Mill, yeah, right across the street, Sexton Mill. It's got a gravel bottom, it's gonna stay there, the awning's gonna stay there, but we want to install windows across the front of that awning there. The way that the building, we're not changing the framing at all, we're not doing anything to the framing. It's a steel building that's got, you know, metal walls and roof and everything else. The way it's framed, is it's got the steel frames that are going up. They go up 12 feet. And then across the top, you got the joists that come across and they're all welded together. There's also some support, metal support that's welded. It's about every 4 feet. It goes across like this to keep the structure in place. What we designed is we want to cut out, I don't know if y'all saw some pictures that were turned in.
Yeah, we're seeing that.
We went into where we could fit in between the frame, the support going this way and the support going this way, where we can insert windows there so there'd be natural light and window coming in there. There's not really any natural light coming in there right now.
There's no light.
Yeah, I mean, I go with the flashlight. So,
You got no light.
So anyway, and there's gonna be, you know, a door that opens, and above the door, she's gonna have her little sign. It's probably 3 by 3 feet.
We're talking about sides though. We're talking on Grace Street,
No.
or we're talking front.
The front.
We're talking just above the door when you walk in.
Okay.
Yeah, similar to, I think there's some pictures you put there. The rest of it on the main entrance is actually on the side next to the parking lot.
Yeah.
And somebody built an old shack that wasn't even connected to the building, and actually the doors slide open there, and so it doesn't even work. So, we're gonna put a door in there so people can come in. There'll be a sidewalk, it's gonna be handicap accessible and all that, so they can enter in there, walk into the building. Along the back will be, you know, the baked goods and cash register and coffees and things. There'll be seating inside, and you can walk out the doors and sit under the patio if you wanted to, out on the patio. So really, everything else in the building, we're leaving the sides the same, everything's gonna remain the same. The only thing we wanna do is install, there's some old busted out windows there that are probably 100 years old, I don't even know. But they need to go, they're not energy efficient or insulated or anything, so we wanna get those out of there, put in the nice windows, add some windows to it, and leave the rest of it the same. There's a couple of old places where some signs were, you can still see the support there with the hooks on them, I don't know if it was hanging there. One's by Main Street there, one's out on the front, one's on the side, they're still on the side of the building, we're just gonna hook our little front sides to those existing ones, so that'll all stay the same. So. When I try to change anything on the building, just make it some windows underneath that so we can go in. There's a window on the side along the highway. We're just replacing that with a better window.
Is there gonna be a vent hood? Are you gonna be cooking with gas in there? Like, is there a vent hood of any kind?
I want to put one in, but it's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
I just wondered if there was, where is it going to be top?
Kitchen's on the parking lot side. Kitchen's on the parking lot side, it'd be on that back wall, on the parking lot side if there was one.
So you're gonna be cooking with like gas?
Well,
No. Yeah. We've got electric, we got heat pump, electric AC.
Yeah, I just,
The
It's not-
storefront windows are on the Grace side, up underneath that shed awning that will be, for a patio.
We selected the black bars, similar to the old style bars that were there with the black bars. And it'll be a black, and we're not painting the metal that's there or anything. It's gonna look old and rustic, just like it is now. And the bottom portion, the windows are gonna start about 3 feet high, so that bottom portion is gonna stay. And the top portion, so we're just inserting in between the bars, just underneath that.
Are the mullions on these windows black?
Excuse me?
The window mullions, are they black?
Correct,
They're gonna be black?
yeah, yes,
They're white right now, aren't they?
No.
no, they're dark. They're rust.
I mean, yeah,
Rust
they're-
color.
I've got pictures from when I reviewed it, so,
Rust color.
yeah.
No, we don't want white, I think the black is what looks the best.
And one of the things he's not telling you, part of this is to bring him up to energy code, because he's strung to the 2018 energy code for the improvements.
We've got to do and redo all the electric, all the plumbing, add a bathroom. It's quite a bit of work, but it's not gonna affect anything on the outside. All the work's on the inside, other than
Well,
just. the-
yeah.
It is.
It is.
yeah.
So here's the deal. Are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You have to.
Yeah, just got worried.
Okay, so, this building is in our historic district overlay, so that's why the COA is coming to us. It is not a contributor, nor is it within our National Register district. It is within our historic resources survey, and it is a local landmark. It was landmarked in 2008. Ms. Ann has the files on that. The criterion for which it is eligible or recommended eligible under the historic resources survey that was done by Dr. Baker at Tarleton is under criterion C. And that is, that's the criterion that we hold for the work of a master, great craftsmanship, which you would look at this building and think, that's not this building. What is important about this building and why he has it eligible, because we reached out to him and had this discussion, is because the reason why it doesn't have windows is because blacksmith shops and welding shops don't have a lot of light. They're intentionally built with a specific form and function to facilitate the type of business that is within that building. So while we look at it and go, it's just corrugated metal, who cares? It's just an ancillary shop utilitarian structure. There actually is a reason for his recommendation. But it's eligible at the local level. So this is where we have to sit and go, well, what does it mean to the community, right? Like, what's the importance to the community? Would we rather see this building become dilapidated and razed and be completely neglected, and they would have justification for demolishing it? Because the National Register does not protect private property owners from neglecting or demolishing their buildings unless there is an undertaking, and there isn't one in this case. So we have to look at it and go, does it better serve the community to let them rehab and modify this building so that it serves the purpose that they need for it to have the light that it needs, replace doors if it needs to be done. And is that where the value is to the community? So that's what you have to consider here. It will modify the building to the point where another evaluator coming along may say that it has been modified to the point that it does not maintain its historicity and convey its original purpose, and therefore it has lost integrity. And so you might lose a status in that way. But one could also argue that you have maintained the majority of the fabric of the building. So it's really going to be in the eye of the beholder when they make those evaluations. Being a local landmark, you do get tax incentives. It is landmarked, but you should know that in the future that if someone were to come along in 20 years, and I can't crystal ball this for you, and they wanted to redo the landmarks in town, they might come along and say, this has really been modified to the point that it doesn't meet the criteria. I don't think that would ever happen, but I do think I need to be honest with you about that. Or if TxDOT came along and did a historic resources survey and updated it, they may say, this doesn't meet the criterion anymore. I would argue that you have a lot of the 7 aspects of integrity, more than less. Modifying the design to fit your needs. It is going to lose that aspect of integrity, but there's more than one. So in my opinion, I think that the importance of this building for the community is maintaining as much of it as we possibly can. The setting, as you kind of cruise around the block there and you kind of enter that Sexton Mill area and where Baked is going to be, you kind of get a whole new vibe and a whole new, kind of just setting an association there. So I think it's fabulous that you guys want to rehab it. But you should know that that's the status of the building as it sits now. That's what you need to discuss.
So I have a quick question, just maybe along those lines. And again, this probably has nothing to do with what we're going to decide or whatever, but if you guys had your way and somebody said, yeah, you can tear it down, would you guys tear it down and build something new, or would you keep, no, just.
That's a funny story, because the first time I met her over there, I said, you'd be better off tearing this down and building your own shop. And she about started crying.
I love it.
She loves the building, and I realized then how much she just loves the building. She's got a vision, because she loves the old building.
Mhm.
I'm a construction guy. I build new stuff, so.
Well, and that's where the importance to the community comes in.
Right.
Because the community some people do feel very strongly about that building, right? And so they would much rather see it rehabbed and maintained, because you're not changing the association and the feeling from members of this community. You're just making it even better.
Well, she owns it,
So,
and she loves it. And so that's the.
but yeah, I mean, technically, it's not going to absolutely follow the Secretary of the Interior standards, which is what we're supposed to follow. But, there always needs to be, I think, some flexibility and interpretation of that. So.
My question is, we have had several drawings submitted. And in great detail. Did you do this? Okay. So, I mean, it's very detailed, very thought out, planned out. So, the back of the building. And like I said earlier, I have done the inventory resource on that building for 2 years running, and thank God you're taking the trees that are growing in the building out of growing in the building. Okay, so I'm just asking questions because I want to be very clear on this, because we're fixing this. So the back of the building, and you are calling the back of the building, which faces the
Parking lot.
the square. The back of the building faces the square.
Correct.
Okay, so you're gonna remove so if y'all look at page 29 of our packet, that's where I'm talking about. I was gonna go.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
she's gonna remove the 2 windows along the back of the building,
That we can't see from the street.
but you can see them when you're standing in the parking lot. And that's public parking.
Okay, but that's why so those are those two.
You
I don't
can't,
think you can.
I can't see that.
I can't see them.
Well, okay, everybody else can't see them, but I did, and I apologize, but she's asking for the 2 back of the windows.
Mhm.
So you're going to remove the 2 windows and take the metal from the sliding door at the end of the building that faces the parking lot and replace it where those 2 metal buildings were.
Yes, also in front, the metal is coming, you know, so.
Okay.
We're gonna have excess metal
Yeah.
from when we
And we'll
install
reuse it.
new windows.
Okay, I'm just,
And we're gonna use the same metal, cause if you got a new piece of metal, it wouldn't look at all like that.
no, it would
So
not.
we're gonna
Which
reuse.
sliding door is this coming from? Can you clarify?
On the
It's on the page
parking lot
30.
side where the main entrance is gonna come,
I thought you were fixing that.
well, there's gonna be
To
some metal
stay.
that comes off of that
Okay.
front door.
Not
Okay,
only comes off of that, and there's a big sliding door in the very front underneath
That faces 144.
we
Yes.
gotta go one at a time because there's a lot. on
That's
this.
why I was
Yeah, I'm ready.
asking.
The
Put it on
biggest,
what- put it on
the
what
biggest
they're
sliding
calling the
door
front.
we're checking
Yeah.
out is
Okay.
underneath the overhang that faces Sexton's Mill. That's how you open it
So
now. It's a
technically, you're gonna
giant sliding
frame
door.
these in, correct? These 2
We're gonna
windows?
cut
And you're
out-
going to clad them with the corrugated sheet metal.
Correct.
Okay,
So technically, that's a reversible thing, right?
that's correct.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're not framing anything, we're just putting some wooden studs inside that we can sheet rock across. So that can all be taken out again.
Okay.
Okay, and then on the parking lot side where you've now removed the metal and you're gonna leave metal to that door, this is where you're putting this
Correct,
picturesque
correct.
entrance with the covered rack. Okay.
Okay, and that porch also, that does meet the Secretary of Interior standards because it does not fit with the period of significance of that building. So generally, when you do additions like that, they actually want you to showcase that the architecture is different than the original rather than trying to make it look like it was part of the original building and selling it. So that does meet the
Yeah,
Secretary's.
because the
standards.
concrete that's there is not attached to the building.
Right,
And the structure that was there, none of it was attached to the building,
Right.
so it was.
But they did get it approved to add that structure because it's over there in the file, believe it or not. Okay?
Okay,
So I applaud you for taking it down. I'd asked previously to have it taken down, so I'm not fussing or sounding bad. I'm just saying, yeah.
it needs to
So
be
it, yes, sir, it did.
and you're gonna punch through that rolling door and put this
We're
one
gonna cut a
in?
door out of the rolling door, so so that leaves all the other metal there.
Okay.
And does it, are you gonna just stabilize the rolling mechanism?
yeah.
Okay,
All those are gonna be.
Okay.
but you're gonna leave
place.
it, you're just gonna stabilize it.
Every one of the rolling doors is gonna be stabilized into place.
Okay.
Yes. They're not being removed, they're just being stabilized just like they are.
And then this door,
Yes,
okay, mahogany color, okay.
mahogany door.
Alrighty, and then can we take the Elm Street side? That's the Highway 144,
Absolutely.
that's the front side. So we get, and the only reason I'm doing this step is because there are many components to it, and I want to be sure we get everything like you want it, so you don't have to come back because of something that we might have missed. You're going to, now this is the side that has the O'Neill sign in front of it, just for reference. So you're going to remove and replace with a sliding window for walk-up sales.
During our busiest times, yes,
Mm-hmm.
we'll have a walk-up window there to alleviate the lines and the congestion on the other side.
Is it the same size as the current? Fitting?
It's similar, those aren't standard sizes.
Yeah.
So it's within like 2 or 3 inches of the one that's there. We just want to take that one out and stick one in that slides open this way. So that if she was busy and we had walkers from the square, they could walk up down the sidewalk.
And are these two like 9-light windows like open out or I mean slide? And they're
One
both,
fixed and one that will be able to slide and close like this.
And the door that's there, you're gonna remove it and you're not, and you're gonna replace it with metal from the front of the building?
Yes,
And you're calling the front of the building the parking lot, right?
Grace,
Grace is the front of the building?
right? Isn't that Grace?
That's what you're calling.
I think
Uh,
we always refer to the front as where the patio is.
Okay, so you're gonna remove it from, okay, so that's where it's,
So same thing, it's a reversible
Right,
action. You're
it's a
just framing in
reversible.
the door with the.
I got you. And then,
Okay.
Right now, the door's kind of rotted out and it floods when it rains, so we have to fix the drainage.
oh yeah, did you see the pictures of, you probably haven't, the Paluxy has been up under Sexton and that way.
And these are gonna be,
Flood insurance.
black, multi-light
The windows are
vinyl,
all exactly the same.
but black.
Yes.
Okay.
Black.
Yeah, the windows are all the identical
So
style
if-
windows, just different sizes.
My question is, if we put a fixed single pane in there and she's taking out a, what do you
I
got?
don't think she said single pane, I think she just said one side was fixed, the other rolls, sides.
No, so don't paint out below you, it's just, they have windows that slide.
Okay,
Instead of raising it like this, like you would in your house, sometimes in upstairs, they slide. like
yeah,
that.
I have,
So that's all.
okay, that's great. And then Gray Street side, which is what faces
No,
Sex,
wait, hold on.
oh, sorry.
The current sign, the O'Neill family would like to have that sign.
The previous owner, wanted to have, and the reason I'm saying this is to give you, backing on it. The previous owner wanted the sign down and she wanted to offer it to the O'Neill family prior to selling the building to you, and she had discussed that previously.
I actually had somebody reach out to me and I said, absolutely, they can have that stuff.
So, but the sign was there when it was landmarked, so that's okay. No problem.
We're gonna put a big neon flashing sign
Yeah.
up.
Actually, that would be appropriate for 1966, which is the period of significance for that building.
Oh, is
Yeah.
that right?
Yes, for 1966, the neon flashing light.
I can make that argument for
I
you.
can look down and I still don't like that.
Yeah, we can,
The speakeasy.
yeah, we can, help you with that one. So that's,
Okay,
okay, so the O'Neill,
Grace Street,
okay, so the Gray Street, the current windows facing Gray Street, removed, replaced with upper and lower windows.
That's right.
you gotta flip to the next page to get that visual.
Oh,
So, let me ask you, so, so you're doing, these windows, just one?
That
And-
picture is just for reference.
That's,
Right.
we're not doing, it won't
It-
look
it's
like
this
that.
right here
It's
more,
just a
right?
reference.
I'm
Yeah,
so sorry, I know you
Yes,
can't see that.
That's it.
So there'll be two, 9 lights on the left side of the door, 3 9 lights on the right-hand side of the door, and then transoms
Yes, that's
above.
Right.
Okay,
And she just wants you to see that she wants a light.
I got you, because
That's
I
a
was,
big modern picture
I was
that's
gonna
not even
ask you-
close to that.
why would you want something so modern on that
Oh, it's
building
just
when
a-
I
it's a
know that
visual.
you have fought to keep that building like it is? That was my question. I thank you so
She sent that to me for an idea,
Yeah.
this is kind of how I want the windows to lay out. I was like, well,
Okay.
this is gonna cost you $100,000 if you want this. So,
Okay.
that's about it.
Now, these ones you are gonna have to modify the current openings, right?
We have to cut
Cut
the
off.
openings, and they'll be surrounded by metal instead of that wood there. They'll be surrounded by metal, so it'll be the metal that it goes into the window, and there'll be wood on the backside.
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
And the internal framing is what's dictating the size, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't see any wood from the outside.
Okay, I'm gonna frame that whole thing.
Oh, I was just looking at that and just,
Yeah, that's a wall for another time.
Oh, inside.
That's for-
God.
Highway 67.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I get the Gray Street side and the windows and the clarification up here, what they look like.
And this single door though on Gray Street is just gonna be a single pane? Okay. Black.
Black, yeah, the idea is that, that patio area that's the key for me, I love it so much.
Okay.
And just to bring them in,
Do you
Just-
wanna leave on here or stained mahogany? Cause that's what's in your COA, so that you have
yes.
to match the, okay.
Single.
So that single door on, Gray Street, black or stained mahogany.
Single.
No, she
So
wants
just
a
a
single.
single in the middle. Okay.
That's gonna be your main entrance though, right? That's the main entrance?
No, the main
On the
entrance is outside.
The
It's on
parking
the
lot.
parking lot side.
Parking.
The main entrance is on the side. of the building, trying to do the easiest place.
Right,
Front
the
of the
right
building.
side is the dining, outside dining.
Outside.
Ah,
Right,
Are they gonna be able to get in from there?
Absolutely, there's.
that's where that door is gonna go.
there are gates that have to operate on that patio side.
I don't know,
It's-
we haven't got there yet.
She's got the, okay, I did, then, okay, then I guess we can just, you want me to go on and do the next three or?
Yeah,
Okay,
keep going.
all righty. Okay, you're gonna use spray foam underneath the underside of the patio for temperature control. Does that cut, that's gonna, you're gonna color it, right?
Black.
Okay.
I want to do, I guess it's not in there, but this is gonna be phase one and there'll be a phase two. You know, just doing a little bit more, making it a little bit nicer, but I wanna put wood up under there, with lights.
To like cover up the spray foam?
Yes,
Okay,
dress it up.
alright, so, but that's not part of this.
No,
That's
no,
fine.
no.
You didn't put that in, there. Okay. I didn't think I saw something like that, but I just wanted to be sure because we can't modify. So then the wrought iron fencing that goes around the building, you're gonna leave it there.
Right.
You're gonna paint it black. There are gates already
Yes.
on
They're
it,
on
aren't
both
there?
sides.
There's gates on that already,
Both
if I'm not
sides.
mistaken.
Well, the gates aren't associated with that building anyways. They were.
No,
the
but she's not
fence
gonna
was built
remove them
later.
anyway. She's gonna just make them,
We just have to
convert
make
them into
code compliant.
swingers. But I was just saying, they're already there, aren't they? You don't have to cut the fence.
Well, they're gonna have to be fixed, you know, to swing. Right now, they're really hard. You have to, it's just very awkward to swing them.
Right, but my only point was that they're already there.
Yes.
You're just gonna make them swing. So, yeah, that wasn't.
Correct.
Yeah. And then, add a sign on Gray Street side, which above the door that says bank with your logo as shown below, no longer than 40 inches wide and 2 feet. Hang on,
Pretty small sign.
40
There'll-
inches
There'll be three
wide,
different signs.
2 feet high.
You wanna add
That's
that?
just one.
We've already got the two sign places out there.
Right, but we'll have to do the
We'll
signs
just,
for
we'll just hang
those.
the sign on the existing.
You're gonna come back for the additional signs?
Well, the
The
sign
post
posts
is
are already
already
there. They were part of there's one on the side street and then there's one attached to the,
But you're gonna attach signs to them.
Yes.
I said, so you're gonna come back for those 2 signs?
You'll have to get a
Yes, we'll
COA.
have to come back to you
Yeah.
guys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Can they be added
Yes.
at this time?
Well, she's got that she wants to do a sign on Gray Street. We're still, that's why I'm asking the question. We're still in discussion on this. You have an opportunity to amend this COA at this time to include those 2 signs. That's what we're talking about. And that's why I asked you if you were gonna wanted to come back.
I would like to do it now. We can-
And let's go on and get the other 2 additional signs done. Therefore, she has all 3 signs, and should sign 3 come before sign 1, she can hang sign 3 and not worry about coming
Where-
back.
Where are these at, so we can clarify for
Yeah.
the notes?
There's one, facing, is it Elm Street?
Yes.
It faces Elm, it's a steel pipe that comes straight out of the
it's
building.
an old style,
Okay.
Yeah,
kind of like a, yeah.
it comes,
And
How
will
do you
that
like
be
that?
this?
No, we're talking about not on the building, we're
It's
talking
in the
about.
ground.
it's,
on the ground.
but it's right there at the building, right? Right there at the building.
No, it's by the sidewalk. I believe.
It's gonna mount it out by the front.
Oh,
By the
then I don't know
sidewalk,
where
it
that
comes
one
in.
is. I thought there was a pipe that came straight out of the building.
No.
Okay, maybe
And
that's
will it
been
look-
removed.
There's 2
Just like
like,
that one?
there's 2 sides that have been there.
Same sign. I can't even see what you're
It's your big logo.
It's your bake logo, so will
Yeah.
each additional sign just be this?
Yeah.
Okay, and what size will those signs be?
I don't know,
Well-
sorry, I don't have that.
Well, the one that she was looking out front, that's the first one you want to put up right by the sidewalk on Elm Street,
Yeah.
right? And then there's one that comes off the corner diagonally between Grace and Elm that's actually attached to
Yeah.
the wrought iron fence that comes out, that it also is a hanging sign that would blow in the wind. Where do you want to put the third one?
How about the door?
She says add a sign on Grace Street side above the front door to say baked with her logo shown below. No larger than 40 inches wide and 2 feet tall. That's what she has on here.
Yes.
The two signs that we're trying
Wait,
to,
before, hold on. The one on Grace Street, where are you gonna put it so you can see it?
yeah,
If you got this porch here.
Are you talking over the entry
Can I
door?
see what you're looking at?
Mm-hmm. If that's Grace Street.
Grace Street's where the patio is.
So it's there's one over on Elm Street, but the sign is over here on this corner.
Oh, okay, so we just.
You just can't
Yeah,
see
they're,
it
they're
there.
already there, so we were just saying
And
the
then-
frames are there.
The frames will dictate how big they are. I don't know. I don't know for sure right now.
So you're gonna put,
So can we just say fit to current frames?
that's correct, that's what I was gonna say, at the corner of Elm and Grace will fit to current holder. And this one is going above your door. And where was the, I
The
apologize,
other one is by the sidewalk on Elm. If you're coming down,
You know, if you're coming down the highway there and there's a little sidewalk that would cut in, it's like 6 feet. And it dead ends into the grass facing the building, there's a little sidewalk there. And-
when you're going up
Right,
Elm,
you're going, yeah, if I'm heading towards
Yeah.
the, like I said,
up Elm,
there's a little sidewalk right here.
right,
And it dead ends into the street off of this main sidewalk. There's a sign.
It's a small
Right.
freestanding wood swing. It's not gonna be that big.
It's getting that
and
big.
it has a holder there, correct?
Yes, the always already there.
So we got it, that's fine,
It's ornamental wrought iron.
that's fine.
It's actually kind of nice to have those there, it's like having these special signs right here.
That Melinda's got,
Oh, no, I'm not saying.
no, I'm saying that's fine. Right, with this, yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. So. Oh, we made it through that.
So to make it easy for the minutes, it's, somebody will make a motion to approve as submitted.
No,
No.
I mean,
no, you cannot as submitted.
Okay.
I mean, that's exactly what we did. We didn't change anything.
anything.
The signs.
With the
The sign,
exception of
yeah.
the sign.
You're right.
The exception of the sign.
But I'm talking about the complex stuff,
Right,
you know,
yeah, I
the
mean,
meat of it.
Yeah.
The meat of it as submitted, and then
Add the
you are
sign.
absolutely, yeah.
Does anyone else have any other questions? How soon do we eat?
Yeah.
Well, next Friday, we're hoping to bring the trailer down.
So, and so this is going to the parking lot side, right?
Yes, that's parking
That's
lot.
parking lot side. Are we pouring a pad? Are we?
We're gonna have to put a sidewalk,
Okay.
based on code.
Oh, so that's,
There's already, there's a piece of concrete there, it just depends on how we can ramp, just the code on the ramp.
Yeah, we're gonna be working on some drainage issues there that are site related, but they're gonna have to happen so we don't flood his building. We have a conductor coming off the back of the CD building that's gonna alter where the water goes.
but she's asked, but his question was,
Yes,
she's
we're-
adding a sidewalk that's not on this COA.
Are we talking about from the Elm Street side?
He's talking
No, no,
about the
I'm talking
parking
about
lot
the
side.
Parking lot.
Based on handicap accessibility, we have to have handicap.
We have to have a hard surface for
Yeah,
the
so we're
handicap.
doing it based on code.
So, yeah, they're gonna have to comply with
Yeah.
the requirements for
Yeah.
grass,
They don't need a CO for that.
for our Texas accessibility standards have to be, they have to meet them.
It's parking lot side.
Parking lot side.
It should
Parking
be-
lot side, not,
it should-
So just add that to the COA.
Just add it to the COA. That they'll add a sidewalk and be compliant with all ADA.
correct.
Right, ADA is close enough. Texas accessibility standard. Because of the amount of money going in, or they have to file with TDLR.
Right, but ADA will cover us, right? Okay.
ADA, and then same way to be in the building as well as outside.
Is there gonna be any kind of a directional sign so people know where the
We'll have
front,
to
where the
train
front
people.
door is?
We'll have to.
Are we gonna
We'll have
put
to
a
do
directional
something, yeah.
sign up front?
Well, we'll have people that will help, but once people go through there a few times, then the guests will help the new ones. Go that way or whatever. I mean, we'll have to have people directing. Yeah, we'll have to.
I
And
I
I'm
don't
sure
think
we'll
we're
have
gonna
little
put any
signs,
signs up, are you?
but just like little,
No, Well,
this way.
Sandwich
not any
signs or something.
permanent.
Oh, you're talking about
Anything
for entry
permanent.
here?
Yes, just
Yeah,
so
'cause
people
it-
would know
Just
where
to
the
start.
entry, because the entry is sort of
Yeah.
not,
Parking lot side.
not
It's on the parking lot side, that's correct.
right.
Nothing permanent. Put on wheels so we can move back and forth.
There you go.
I'm in trouble with your slide window being so close to where I'm sitting.
She'd go right out the back door and a couple of steps, she's got your big
And
window.
I'll meet you over the jump, from right across the street.
You're a kryptonite to her, you understand?
She's not alone.
I would say a lot of people in the same.
Do we have any other questions or discussion?
So this awning, this is just gonna be like the size of the door, right? Or how big is that gonna be? What's the dimensions of this?
That's a good question. I would like
It's
for it to
gonna-
be over the concrete.
There was one that was there that was almost the exact same size as the one we're putting back.
Okay.
And
So-
it was
so the
approved.
old-
It was
yeah.
approved. It did
Yeah.
get approved through
It's not,
historic
we want
preservation years
as
ago.
minimal as possible, but to look nice to.
Right, that's why I'm,
Yeah, nothing overkill, just a small awning where you can,
that's all.
yeah.
Cause that looks huge. I'm just saying, I know it's just
Well,
an
it's a
idea.
concept picture,
It's just a
yes.
concept, an idea. I just wanna make sure that.
No, it'll be tasteful and as minimal as possible.
Okay, and you understand any implications to the integrity of your building? Okay. Someone like to give this one a whirl, or?
One last question. Did we amend to add the sidewalk that they were
We
talking about?
will,
I'm
we're
gonna
gonna
do
make
it right now.
Okay,
We'll
I was
make
just
the
gonna see if you were gonna
motion.
add that.
I motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness application as submitted by the Jane Doe Company for, sorry folks, 101 East Elm Street. With the modifications to the COA that the building was built in 1966, not 1950. The COA is approved as submitted with the following modifications. The doors will be mahogany stained or black. The windows will be multi-light and black vinyl energy efficient. In addition to the one sign on Grace Street, 2 additional signs will be mounted onto the current frames on Elm Street. And is the other one on Grace as well?
The other one is.
Kind of on the corner.
It's right on the corner.
wrought iron.
It's
On the
kitty
corner, yeah. Concrete path will be poured to be ADA compliant. And I think that is it.
Sidewalk.
I just said.
To be ADA compliant.
She calls it a concrete pad.
Okay.
But maybe it's a sidewalk, it's a walkway.
That sounds better for historic.
I made that motion. You're gonna make that motion?
I'm making that motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Oh,
7-0 carries.
Thank you.
Welcome, Bake.
Congratulations
Now
and
you
good
just
luck.
have to bring, you just have to bring Brett.
Your work cut.
I will. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Congratulations.
We're looking forward to it.
That was complex.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item on the agenda, folks, is the extension for certificate of appropriateness. For when somebody doesn't make that 6-month timeline, there's a form that they fill out to extend it for whatever period. So that form is in your packet. There wasn't one in the past and we ran into this.
Yeah.
yeah.
Does anybody have any discussion items or questions
Didn't we do all that?
regarding?
No,
A couple of things that need to be fixed.
Okay, well, how about it?
Where it says work completed today, there's a great big space between work and completed. And then where it says approved and denied, the box,
Yeah, you see
little
that.
box is in the wrong place.
Somebody put that box in the wrong place right there. I just looked at it.
So
I
there's,
don't know if it was just the way it attached in Communicode, didn't look that closely to the individual
yeah, some-
document.
let's see.
This was
Whatever
actually
it's
Unicode.
work,
And you need to justify the left margin. If I'm,
Yeah. You need to.
if I'm editing now.
well, and on the right,
We close up that gap and we can make sure that
it'll
box
bring
shows
that,
up.
it'll bring that line back when you close up that gap, because that line sticks way out to the end. And if we're really getting picky, where it says on-site contact name, let's capitalize name, so it goes with everything else.
You might have to hire Karen.
I'm an editor, I can't help it.
I know.
No, I think we talked about this either in August or July
Our last meeting.
at our last meeting, and there were the few things that we wanted added to it. So she added what we had suggested, and that was
And this is 90 days from the time submitted?
What, the extension?
Is that what
the
that means?
extension. Is it 90 days?
I didn't know if it was
What
from
it
the
says,
time
if approved the
submitted or-
extension, now, who does the approval? Do we just do that in the department? Does the HPO do it? We don't have to come back here.
This has HPO's name on it.
If approved,
Right, okay, got it.
yeah, if
This
approved,
is the
she,
first time I've seen it.
yeah, she's gonna, she can approve the 90-day extension, and if she doesn't feel comfortable approving it, then she'll bring it back here.
Absolutely. That's good for
That's
me.
her, she has that discretionary,
Yeah, it's got to.
anyway.
We need a date.
It may need to, yeah, it does need a date, and it may need to say, if approved, this extension allows work to be completed within 90 days of this approval, just so that it's real clear when the 90 days
Well, that was my
starts.
question, is like, is it from when it
Yeah.
runs out the first time, or is it from when this is submitted? So,
Yeah, because,
and I have no preference on that.
yeah, it just needs to say, it
Clarify.
needs to specify.
Is the intent of this form here to be hand delivered, emailed, mailed? And then the reason I'm asking is, should we put some contact information on where it needs to go? If somebody's, not from here, they live somewhere else and they're trying to submit to.
Yeah,
I think it should be available on our new HPC website that will be coming. I think it should be in a PDF form. I think it should be a fillable one, yeah, and I think it should be able to be submitted online or via email. So let's put some contact info. And we actually do have a HPC email, so it can just go straight there, and Heather should be checking that. Gonna make that.
But was I guess the question was, okay, we're going to, they got 180 days to get the work done. Okay. Then they came here and we gave them approval for like 12 things to be done, and they only got 6 of them done because of contractors or this, that, and the other. They're gonna have to list the 6 things they got done and the 6 remaining items to be done, and they get 90 days to finish those 6 remaining items.
We'd have to with an attachment rather than trying to fill in the form, because the form wouldn't fit that criteria.
It
That's
does.
a specific, no, what I'm
It
saying,
says,
would you attach the 6 items that got done and then the
it
six-
says here, work completed to date, that tells you what you've gotta complete and then it says work remaining. So
And then
that,
you just put a caveat down there that says attach additional information.
Yeah,
I
right,
think,
you would
and they could
attach,
just
yeah,
attach
that would
it.
work for that, because there might be a little bit more than that line would handle.
okay.
So do I have a motion that will also include these revisions?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the application, the COA extension form with the noted revisions, formatting, adding contact information for submission on the form, and to add, it looks like information for completed, and an attachment
And a date.
and a date, yes.
I'll second that.
All in favor? 7-0? Oh,
With the paint
this is
color
me.
thing, so.
okay. Are you ready, Jody? Let's see if we can do this. Am I live there? Okay, as many of you know, the paint color palette has been
What?
confusing.
Noir.
Just no.
I'm up, is it not toggling over?
No,
Like it went to sleep.
it went off. Cause you know, she says it turns itself off every once in a while.
Believe me, we've had all kinds of fun with this equipment.
So in our guidelines that Anne already basically has almost done, and we just need to get to the formatting and add some, a little bit of meat to it. One of the sections will be the color palette. And so what they do is when people have a project they want to do and they're prepping for their COA, they go down to Jody, they get the color palette, and they work off of an approved color palette that we compile and then present to city council for approval.
Here we are.
There's been some confusion about what was actually approved prior in 2009 and what's actually being handed out. Also, these business owners and homeowners are coming down there and they're working off just a piece of paper that's a printout and trying to get it color matched, which is just not a good way to go about this. So Sherwin-Williams they're known for their historic color palette. So what they have here is by era, which is how many other HPCs do this. So basically, if you have a Victorian, you should be going within a certain kind of color palette. If you have a Craftsman, that dictates another color palette. So here we go. This is all the Colonial Revival colors, and I think there's probably about 12 of them.
Are there exteriors up there?
It can be exterior or interior.
Yeah, because I'm looking
Yeah.
at mostly interior pictures, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, they're all interior pictures, but I will show you where they show exterior pictures too.
They have that too.
Yeah. So, just so everyone kind of see these up on the screen. Unfortunately, Miss Heather did go down and got many of these, which are fold out pamphlets for people, but she's not here today. So this is how we're viewing it. I'll go to the classics. This is where you go from the 1800s to 1860. There's not very many in this color palette. Again, they're all pretty benign. More of what we might have here, we're looking at probably more Victorian era periods. Again, not a heck of a lot, but each period has quite a few in there. The arts and crafts, this one has a lot in it. This would be your craftsman style homes or buildings. Again, most of those are going to be buildings that are offset off the square. I felt like the Victorian one had a heck of a lot more in it. Whoops.
I don't think the colors.
It's not loading, huh?
It's
All
not
the way.
loading.
It's all the
The
same.
palettes,
No, they're all.
the palettes aren't loading,
It's
but
not
that's all right.
loading.
We get the,
Well, that's not cool. Hold on.
no, because the Victorian was,
I thought, what's wrong with that? Oh, I don't have any internet. That's why. Did you switch me over to my HDMI? I guess I should. All right. Well, people, hold on a second. Let's go back and try that again. I know, and I have the HDMI is hooked up, and I was just. Did you pay the bill?
Victorian here, had a lot of
Um,
very bold colors on the exterior.
It says they're not connected.
Yellows and blues and greens.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Is it the city hotspot or the city?
Oh, we
It's,
have,
the HDMI is not working. This
are
cord,
you signed into as a guest?
no. I was on.
My computer just does it because I'm here. But
Because your IP address is already,
Yeah.
yeah, it's already programmed into us, but if I take it out of town, I can't use it right now, they gotta figure out why I can't. Cause I need to be able to use it while I'm on the road.
what about the hotspot?
Okay, so while I'm trying to do this, Sherwin-Williams is super accessible. It's very easy, but I also have spoken to Kelsa, who's the manager over at Higginbotham's, and he would be willing to take all of these from the palettes and create an HPC color match there. So if people don't want to go out of town or it's a hardship, because what people are doing is color matching anyways. We can't dictate
Right.
when we give them a swatch if they want to go use Valspar or something else. They can go color match it, but at least that way it would be in town. We're supporting the local business. It's really accessible for people to get there if they don't want to get to Granbury. And they can just say, hey, show me the HPC color palette, and it's right there. Okay, here, let me try and hotspot here. Okay, let's try this again. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, here we go. Would you like to see some different colors?
Yeah,
Okay,
great.
so Colonial Revival, I think you've seen that quite a bit.
About 6 times.
Here we go.
Yay.
These are the only 8 colors that are in the classics period.
Oh, that was a boring period.
I'm sorry. Victorian's really nice though. There's a lot here.
There we go.
Yeah.
There
And-
you go, your bolder colors.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that rock.
Now, I will tell you one thing
Cajun red.
that I think that we would have to add here is that none of the periods have an actual black. So the black that I would recommend adding is the this one, which is iron ore. It's actually my favorite black. I use it all the time. It's a really soft black. We might also need to add in a white because there really is no true white.
Yeah.
And of course, we're looking at this on the computer. It might be completely different when we get these swatches in hand. But
So I use a lot of alabaster.
yeah,
I
alabaster's
love
great.
alabaster. Man,
they used a lot of, what was it, the ice, was it blue ice that really doesn't look blue, but it's kind of black. It's the blue ice. It's a white, but it didn't, and they call it that color and it has no blue to it whatsoever.
So I do think we'll need to add maybe, a truer white, add in the black. Those are 2 that really aren't reflected here. These are the Craftsman colors. And then Jazz Age, I don't really know that these are really anything that's going to be.
I feel like I'm in New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that one's probably going to be really appropriate for us. This is more 30s and 50s. And even here, we're always worried about pinks and this and that, but as you can see, like orchid, that's not a horrendous color. Pinks would be appropriate for a Victorian era. I think that's one where you have more of a, even here, you're still in a kind of a dusty rose. No, I mean, it's,
I don't really see a true
well, that's
pink.
because men can't see colors as well as women.
All right.
There isn't a true.
That- no, that-
Sexist would say.
That is actually a statistical study.
Yeah, but there is no.
But if I would have said that, well, there's a Rachel
Yeah, so
Park.
Rachel pink, but even that's not really a,
There's no real pink, okay? There's no true pink.
And I think that we just have to, until we have these guidelines really set up where it says, hey, we only really want 50% of the building or 20% to be pink, or this should only really be a trim color. I think that all of these are something we can adopt. We review each COA, make sure that it's being implemented appropriately. And I would like to move in this direction. They also have, Anne, can you show them the fold out? So they actually have some of these palettes already completely prepared for you and coordinated. So if you have a craftsman, you can go.
What did I do with them? I didn't throw them. Did I leave them down there with you?
No.
No.
Well, let's see if I have. All right, so if you actually go, Anne has the pamphlets, but they actually have coordinated color palettes already. So that's really helpful for people. So they can just visualize and see what it looks like. It's all on the palette.
Gotta lay them over there.
And they have them for different periods. And I don't know why this is not showing up, but the other one will actually have like this building, but then it'll have like 3 other palette options.
Oh, here they are. That's what I did with them.
Okay.
But anyway,
So people can take those home with them and be able to, and of course, that's not all the colors. It's just some of their put together palettes to kind of make it a no-brainer for people, which is always nice. And we don't have a lot of painted buildings necessarily on the square, but they're more adjacent to.
Sorry about that. No, listen.
So this is my pitch for the Sherwin-Williams Historic Paint Palette.
I mean,
does anyone have any questions?
No.
Love it, hate it?
Well, would we, you said specify like percentages or what could only be used for trim color?
We're not there yet, but that's in the guidelines, I think.
We're dealing with a lot of, mostly what we've dealt with is people painting like buildings here, and painting trim, and to me, those apply a lot more to homes than to necessarily to businesses.
Well, where do you make the distinction? Like, there's no business palette from 1879 as opposed to a home palette, I don't think.
No, I just think you're gonna get into odd color choices if you say, you can paint the building any of these colors from this particular.
Well, you don't think that that can already happen with the color palette we have?
They can present it.
Well, and that's all that people would do here. I mean, if they come in and they've got I don't know, Kelly green, and they've got a yellow and salmon trim pattern, we might say that's really not appropriate for our particular downtown. Now, if you lived in Narlands or Galveston or, that might be.
Yeah, or the Bahamas.
So I still think every COA, they're still going to have to bring a COA here. It's still going to have to be approved.
But I guess my question is, how do we make that easier for us to determine so that they don't think we're raining on their parade every time? They go,
you tell them,
these
so-
are approved colors, and so why can't I paint it the approved colors?
I think that you have to just put the language in the guidelines, which is already pretty much there. We don't really have the authority, unless you want to try and make it our authority, to tell somebody if they have a Victorian period home or a building that they can't go with an arts and crafts color. You just have to make a suggestion. I mean, if you want to hard line it in the guidelines, you can try. I mean, and maybe that is when we do the guidelines, the direction we want to go. But most cities and whatnot say we encourage you to stick within the time period colors for your period of significance for your building.
Well, I think that
I'm fine with that.
I think that if we're gonna approve these Sherwin-Williams color palettes and all and look at them, they're going to have to, here's your dates of usage for these colors. So therefore, that's pretty much gonna hold them to what you were talking about for the time being until other things can be done. But is that what you're looking at doing? If they got a Victorian, they need to stick with the color palettes that's in the Victorian color palette? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, she just doesn't want people putting, I mean, I
No.
don't think there is any way for us to dictate prior to people coming here what their taste level is. Do you know what I mean? And that's where she's going, like, well, how do we encourage people to not have bad taste? And I don't think you can. I mean, frankly, just when they come, you have to use nice language. It just says, you know what, this really doesn't kind of fit with.
The Victorian home, these are the
Or,
color
no,
palettes?
it's just like, you know, perhaps your bright yellow and bright pink isn't the best combination for our historic district. She's looking at people putting color combinations together that are garish. And that's gonna happen no matter what palette
We
you
won't know
have.
till they bring it,
Yeah.
so,
Right, we won't know until they bring it. And
Yeah.
then we still can
So I-
suggest, hey,
Is there
Yeah,
a limit
you're
on
right.
colors?
I think
How
what she's
many?
getting at is that it has been brought to our attention on multiple events that if there is a color palette and people choose from the color palette, we cannot tell them no if they want to do something that's pre-approved. She's trying to get around, how do you, and my attitude is then you write in the guidelines that it is still always at the discretion of the HPC when you bring it as to whether or not it is a fit for your period of significance.
well, then when we make the motion and we finish the discussion, we need to make the motion to accept these and that include all of those items at the point that we approve the palette color. If that's what you want to do.
What I'm trying to avoid is people saying, bringing in possibly a garish color combination and saying, well, these were our approved colors.
Then you just,
So why can't I have them?
because it's still at the discretion of the HPC.
Yeah, I just want to be sure that it's
Yeah.
real clear that, you know, just because you pick turquoise.
City
and-
council has, that's
Salmon.
something they feel strongly about, that if it's already approved, then you can't say no. I don't think that there's ever going to be in this particular arena, a time and a place where there isn't some discretion that has to be had. I mean, and I don't know where I just think that language has to go into the guidelines.
Yeah.
That just says these colors are pre-approved, however, combinations and percentages still have to be approved at the discretion of the HPC.
Yeah. just
And if
because you
anybody
pick
else has
those
a better idea, I am all for it.
No, I just was saying that my only comment was that when we make the motion that we'll accept these colors as being available to use, but that you need to need to know that you still have to fill out a certificate of appropriateness. Because they're gonna fill out one for, whether it's a consent agenda item or whether they're gonna come in and discuss it. They're gonna fill it out because even routine maintenance, you just need to fill that out so that you can
But
figure
how,
out.
how do
Yeah,
people feel
with
that they're
your
not being
palette.
targeted as, well, you don't like my colors, so you're saying no, but these are pre-approved, so that's, you know.
But it doesn't fit within the parameters of your stock, your building,
But what
the
if
area of your building.
But what if it does? What if it's one of those colors? It's just not necessarily a color that would look appropriate in our historic district.
Like, what if they want to do, let's say, what she's trying to get, they want to do, now on my screen, Rachel Pink is lovely. It's a little bit salmon-y up there, but,
So what if
so what if they want to do like the colonial yellow and the Rachel Pink is what she's getting at, and it's.
Yeah, that looks good.
On my screen, it actually is really, like, Amber,
Yeah.
Looks
that's
nice.
actually nice, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't think
If you're talking a
I don't
big
think they
building
look
with that-
like that in real life.
let's just approve them and then have them come for a certificate of
If you
appropriateness.
guys, I mean, the only other option here is we could table it, because like I said, I don't have the actual samples. I mean, we can table it and wait another month, but.
Well, if we go on and make a motion and we make a decision, regardless, if I'm not mistaken, then we are still within a time frame to have this put on the city council agenda for the second Tuesday of we're in September, for the second Tuesday in October. It can go on there, they can approve it, and then we can move forward and the colors will be decided.
And they need to be.
I know, because
I don't want us to hold up on.
you have a color palette that from way back then, we tried to resolve it, and now this is the best solution, and let's make a decision and let's get it on the city council agenda for October whatever day it is, the second Tuesday in October.
I think that we could not include the jazz here,
age.
just because I think many of these colors are already represented in other,
The blue skies, right?
period. I mean, that's fine if you want to keep them. I'm
No,
just
no, I
trying to
just,
make,
no,
is there any
I
way?
get you.
I'm happy to keep them all. I don't know, to be honest with you, when they say the jazz age, that's a
The 1920s.
period, but it's not an architectural style.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means.
Well, I think they're just defining it by the 1920s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas these are more, tangible
Architectural.
architectural styles, yeah.
I haven't seen jazz architecture. But I haven't been around.
Can I make a motion?
Sure.
Are we through? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody got quiet. That's the reason I asked if I could make a motion.
Please.
I make a motion to accept the Sherwin-Williams Historic Color Palette paint colors with the exception of the jazz age.
Well, do we click on the other ones real quick, the streamlined and the
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, what's that?
And these are lovely. Not too many of them.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Cope and blue. I like that.
and then this.
This is from modern, that's gonna be your
The
1950s.
only one that has red is the jazz age, like red.
I let's see. I don't think that.
No, I was only,
Hold on, let me get through. I know that one doesn't for sure. Let's look at Victorian.
did, I thought.
I know the arts and crafts is gonna have muted kind of burgundies. This one,
There's Cajun red.
Does
Does that work?
there's Cajun red, there's Toile red, there's, did I say it? And then we have arts and crafts has some red burgundies, I think at the bottom here. There's
Rembrandt
copper. Rembrandt ruby.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can add to it. We also need to, we also do need to add into your motion, adding iron ore as a
I
black.
make the motion again, I'll rephrase it so that it's corrected. I make the motion that we accept the Sherwin-Williams historic color palettes with the exception of the jazz era. And we add iron ore and did you want to add alabaster, is that you said?
Yes.
Alabaster
Yeah.
to the
I
list
don't know what it looks like, but
at this time.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Right underneath them.
Right here.
yeah.
I made that motion.
A second.
JC seconds.
All in favor?
7-0.
7-0 carries.
There you are. Subcommittee.
We can always come back and add it to it.
Yeah, and once we get them, in person and look and make sure that everything's there,
And at least that makes it to city council now. It'll make it to the agenda for second Tuesday.
And I think we should be there to present it so that we still have that discussion about there has to be some discretion, at least until there's language in the guidelines that provides more guidance.
That's right, what we're talking about.
That's you, Larry.
On the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can tell you what the next agenda item is.
Okay.
Discussion regarding subcommittees and task force.
Oh, that's me then.
The only thing I've got in line is action items, so I mean.
Okay, so you're done with your laptop now?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so this was on the last agenda and I didn't get to present it, so. So this is following up on our meeting with city council that we had the special meeting and they had prioritized 3 items that they really wanted us to work on. So now we have 7 of us, we've got a lot of people to get this work done. And part of the HPC is that we can actually form our own subcommittees and task force. So I proposed, let me see here. The first one that they wanted to work on was process improvement and simplification. There's a lot of line items. I don't know if you guys still have this agenda. Jody, do we have this
I
still
don't
somewhere
have that.
online from our special meeting?
It would be in their emails.
Oh, I don't think you sent it out. It was,
It'll also be in the archived minutes on the.
No, not for workshop, but it did go out in it did go out to all of us, because that's how I got it from Dee. So they all should have it in there.
okay, so I can
Email.
forward all of this to you guys. So the first one was process improvement and simplification. That includes updating the city website with an actual HPC website and getting our forms and our guidelines and everything, contact information up there. We have some samples of other cities that we like that seem to be really functional. I think this also included updating the COA with better instructions. That might have already been done, I'm not sure, but that's part of it. Also, what's allowed and what's not allowed with your COA. I believe maintenance, which we're going to discuss later, is part of that. But basically, we want to improve and simplify the process. So we need a subcommittee to take that on, work on it, come back next month and present to us. Whatever we do has to be approved by city council, but that's the first one. The second one is improved property owner communication. Again, the website's going to facilitate that. We also have a handbook and a preservation plan that we have that has already been done, but it needs to be revamped and formatted, probably added to, I can't think of when that was done, but at least 10, 15 years ago. I have it.
2008 was the, 2005, actually, excuse me, 2005.
So we have copies of that. We need somebody to go in and work on that. The one page of the HPC,
It's
Ann
done.
already has that done.
We need the map. That's all I need is the map.
So we need the map to go along with that. And then, sorry, that goes over the second page. Again, it's really kind of similar to the first one, who to contact for help, penalties for not adhering to it. Developing files on all of the historical properties that we have and keeping those files both digitally and over in our file cabinet over by Jody's office. Giving out each of those packets to the property owners so they have one of their own building and all the history of it. And that also includes engaging realtors to make sure that the status of the buildings are disclosed when people buy and sell property. So if you have a local landmark or you have something in the National Register District, you need to know about that and
It's
what that,
already in when you sign the agreement.
it's not always though.
No, it's not.
It's not,
No.
and that's
I
problematic.
can
The
tell you
problem
that.
is,
Confusing.
I know
Here's
people
the
that
problem.
understand.
Okay, but that's, we're not talking about that. We're just
Well,
talking
here-
what's on the
but here's
list.
the thing, I can't, how are we reaching out to a realtor that's coming from the Fort Worth area?
That's for the subtask committee to find out and figure out.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
thing
that's
is that
impossible. You're not gonna reach out to every realtor.
they should know, there's ways that they know. And Melinda's absolutely correct, that's not for
And
today.
part of that is sending out letters to all of the property owners so that they do know. Because maybe it's not in your deed, but if you get a letter from our HPO, you're gonna know now, right? So that's part of these action items. The third one is to coordinate with the Glen Rose Somerville County Convention and Visitors Bureau, that's the CVB, to update the historic walking tour. That is dependent upon our historic resources survey being updated. Go ahead.
The walking tour,
Right, so we have one map that is the historic walking tour that was already drawn and developed. However, CVB is also developing a walking tour. So somebody, not today, not tonight, but that committee needs to get together with them and make sure we streamline this and facilitate a cohesive, walking tour that brings in tourism. And
How does that have to do with property owner communication?
this is the third one.
Oh, this is the third one.
Yes.
Yeah, I was still on number 2, sorry.
There's so many bullets on each of them. I'm just kind of highlighting the big ticket items.
yeah.
And so those are the three. The fourth one that is near and dear to my heart and to Ann's heart is doing the guidelines. So I will add that. It's not on the city's top 3 priority list, but I would say that that is absolutely a necessity. So I don't know how you guys want to do this, because I don't know if a subcommittee or task force has ever been developed. So
Way back
yeah.
then.
I think that there should be at least one member who's been up here and already served a term to serve on each, just for, institutional knowledge to convey to that subtask. And I think that from there, it can be however many people want to volunteer. I don't think anybody should be nominated for this at all. It's a volunteer thing. So with that said, those are the 4 top ones.
So how are we getting volunteers? Are we posting it on?
Oh, no, you're the volunteer.
No,
We are the volunteers.
That's it?
We're gonna create a subtask.
Okay.
Well, that was another thing is that I would like to add into, this is the next thing kind of as part of this, I would like to change our ordinance, and add that in addition to HPC members that can form subcommittees, that we can seek outside volunteers. I think that's a great way to get the community
We need to
involved.
change your ordinance to do that.
I think
No,
that's
No,
kind
I
of,
don't think so.
it's,
I wasn't sure if it really like,
in our
that's not how our
ordinance.
ordinance is. It says that they are
Because
comprised
this
of the
isn't a-
HPC members.
Members,
This isn't a voting group that you're talking about that's
No, but in
researching
our
task
ordinance, it
force.
states that the subcommittees are formed of HPC members. So I didn't know if like seeking outside volunteers
We'll
is
look at
really
that.
kind
We'll
of,
look at that.
That has to
Let me
be-
and Heather look at that.
That has,
because it's a great way for people from the community to get involved, maybe get a little HPC experience for the first time, find out if this is something they'd like to do. There might be people who are just really well suited. Like I think if I were to volunteer somebody, like I think JC, working with like the Visitors Bureau and all, I mean, I think that, well, I mean, to me, like I think tourism and hospitality is right up your alley. I think that would be something that would be near and dear to you.
there's only the map that she was doing was the whole city. This is just for the walking historic district.
Well, they just need to figure that out because
Cause we did,
I agree. And you have a copy of it.
I have a copy of it and we've done a lot of work on it at being told by city council previously, before we had that meeting, that they wanted it done. We've done a lot of work on the walking historic tour, and it encompasses not just this downtown section. It takes in like the Lily House up here, and it takes in Sycamore Grove and
Well, this specifically says the Glen Rose Historic Walking Tour, once our survey is updated. So I would think that we would be obviously piggybacking off of what's already been done and then updating with any, and we can always revise as the new historic resources survey comes in. But we basically need to get these things done. City council expects this of us, and we're not gonna get it done coming to this meeting every month and 7 of us sitting here and talking about it. We need to, I think, make some subcommittees and task out. That's,
well, I'll just finish the guidelines since we already started them. Oh, but you would rather I did something else?
no, I would like to work on the guidelines with you. I think that we need,
I want to do the historic property notification.
okay, so, hold on a second here.
There is a letter.
This is what
Well,
I
you can do
There
it.
is a letter.
There's some people who are well suited to certain things, right?
There is a
So,
letter already written that you can get.
well, she doesn't send it out, the HPO sends it out. But that's part of the,
There is a letter that you can get that you can kind of look at it to see where it wants to go and what they were putting in it. But Heather, I mean, I'm not telling you to send it out. I'm just saying there's one there that they kind of put if ands.
I mean,
so you want to be on the improved property owner communication, and it's not just one task, it's the whole thing. It's how are we going to improve our communication with property owners? What do we need to do? And as a property owner, you're probably really well suited, like how is this commission and how's the city communicating with you? You probably know better than anybody what's working and what's not working. So, I need somebody who's already a current member, or sorry, you're all current members, sorry. Somebody who is a tenured member, to lead that with Ember.
I'll do that.
All right, Scott and Ember.
If she'll have me.
Okay, that was, number 2, improve property owner and communication, and I will forward all of this stuff to you. And the next one, okay, so let's do the guidelines one, because I know that that is gonna be me and Anne. Do you want to do that with us? Are you good? You're good at formatting and editing. That's what I need as a,
Mhm.
that's,
But then that
that's what I need.
doesn't leave another existing.
But you're retired. You can be on more than one. Task force.
What about all that?
Okay.
I'm retired, I don't get to do all that.
The next one is process improvement and simplification. This is the, also the website, this group I would think is gonna really work with that group a lot.
So what if we put 1 and 2 together and we just put 3 people on it, and then you have 1 tenured person and you have 2 non-tenured persons? That way we can put 1 and 2, and then if they need some help, we could, we can always pitch in.
Okay, that's Scott and Ember.
I think Gabe said he wanted to work on that. Was I mistaken?
If I can find time between my secretary duties.
Okay, well, then no, I thought you said
okay.
that you did. I apologize.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. How about the historic walking tour? I think you need to kind of be on that one because you're
in the middle of it.
Yeah, she's been working with who's the gal that's redoing it?
Tiffany.
So Anne, and that is JC. Do you want to be on that, the CBB one, or? I'm not volunteering.
Fun stuff.
It's not necessarily the fun stuff.
Yeah, that one's the, well, I think that, here's my thing. One of the reasons that I do what I do professionally is because I love sharing it with the community. Like archaeology, we can't actually share that. Everything that we do is confidential. And it's very few opportunities that we get to do outreach from the archaeological aspect. Architectural history, we get to share it all the time. And so for me, I think that's a really cool part of our job. So it is the fun stuff. All right, so we need more people on the one for Scott and Ember.
Well, and I can help with that on, some of the
formatting and stuff like that.
Yeah, the website and the forms and instructions and that kind of stuff.
Let me ask you about this website I keep hearing about.
I don't know what we're doing.
Troy is bringing on a web site consultant group that's going to
It's to
on our
work with
city
them,
website.
yeah.
Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
We've heard noise about it, and so what I believe the conversation has kind of gone like, bring me what you like to, that person will obviously implement it and everything.
We start with the
Yeah.
person that's doing our group, that's gonna be a company, that's gonna be our website consultant, that's gonna help us develop a new website. So that's being interacted with what we're working on for our permitting, tracking and processing, and how we're going to put together all those forms on the website.
Right.
But we need to coordinate that with Troy's office because he's actually hiring a company, so we don't have to go out. But if you can get a lot of stuff prepared for
Yeah,
us,
like these are the links we
Yes,
need,
yeah,
these are
yeah,
the titles, these are the people that are gonna populate the, or,
They're gonna ask us
forms
for it.
and.
They're not gonna go out and search that stuff.
Right.
So when we do MGO, which will be our new software program, getting out of the one that we're in, MGO will ask us for a lot of things during the implementation process. So just to make sure we're coordinating with whatever Troy's bringing.
Oh,
in.
yeah.
That's just want to mention
We'll
it,
we'll
'cause
just feed
I heard
information.
website 1,000 times, and we don't develop it ourselves. We develop it with a consultant.
Yeah, he met with them, was it last month before our meeting? Cause I talked to him out in the lobby.
Right, but we have to,
He's
yeah.
been talking to me about the same thing.
Yeah, so we'll need to say, hey, we need one for the guidelines, and then here's the guidelines to upload to that hyperlink,
You're
and
gonna
here's
give
the,
input to what they're
Yeah.
gonna do, so you're gonna give some meat and potatoes to work with.
Yeah.
Right, so we have a long process for ourselves with a 6-month implementation.
I guess that's a motion item, huh? Okay,
Yes.
all right. So I motion to create 3 task force. The first is to handle process improvement and simplification and improve property owner communication. Priority 1 and 2, that is Scott, Ember, and Karen. Do you want me to do each of these separately? Okay, do I have a second?
Oh, no.
Okay. The second task force is going to be coordinate with the Glen Rose Somerville County Convention and Visitors Bureau to update the Glen Rose Historic Walking Tour once the Historical Resources Survey is updated and completed as applicable. That is priority number 3. That is Ann, JC, and Gabe. The third task force or subcommittee is going to be finalizing the guidelines. That is myself, Ann, and Karen. Does anybody else want to be involved with the guidelines at all? Okay. I've made a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? 7-0.
Okay, we ready for the next item? Okay, discussion regarding CLG meeting date and time. Now, I spoke to Heather today about this. Now, what is available from Karen Little, November and December, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday would be the day that you would pick. The date needs to be determined. What we don't want to do is have something that gets in conflict with the holidays, just to be aware.
Would be the only days I could do.
So
Monday, Tuesday.
we need to get this CLG thing done.
Yeah.
Now, I talked to Troy about it before the meeting, and I said, listen, are we involving council in a joint workshop for this training? I think personally, we need it for the commission no matter what. Whether
Can
it
we
gets
just get a,
I
well,
don't think we need to get all confused with trying to get
no,
council
what
in
I
it.
was gonna say is maybe we could get a liaison from council to come and sit in so that they hear it with their own
Yeah, 'cause
ears.
this
They're
is gonna be a
present, they
live
might have
presentation.
questions. And that way it's not always just HPC trying to present to council and council's really detached from what
Well, yeah.
we're told by the state or what we know the regulations are. I think that would be,
Well,
At
by
least one or
having
two
Karen
liaisons?
come in, Karen coming in, she's the
Kelly.
coordinator.
Kelly.
for Kelly, I'm sorry, Kelly, Little. When she comes in, she is, the coordinator for
Mm-hmm.
CLG on state level. She's extremely knowledgeable, very helpful, very nice, but she'll come in and she says about a 2-hour program.
Mhm.
So we need to determine when we're going to invite them to come and do it.
Okay.
We need to get to this. We've been trying to do it for months.
so let's just look straight at November. Does everybody have a calendar up? It would be at 5:00, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of November.
Monday the 4th.
When is our next council, or when is our next preservation meeting in November?
19th.
Could we do it the 19th and just
I
make it a
think you
2-hour
could. It
meeting?
would not get.
I won't be here.
We can make it the primary part.
Now,
of the
do
meeting.
you have to be here? Because if anybody knows anything
Yeah.
about CLG.
Yeah, right.
No, I mean, honestly, if you feel strongly about being here, that's fine. I just,
Well, that's kind of tacky.
no, I'm saying how knowledgeable you are. Like, when you go, doesn't Kelly
Did
always
she
go,
just
do
call
you
you
really
a
need to be
know-it-all?
here again?
Yes, that's exactly what she says. She goes, you can come teach.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so, and, we don't obviously want to do, does anybody know what the school schedule is? Amber, I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
For Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
Yeah,
or JC, yeah.
Yeah, it's 22nd is early, 22nd, Friday is early release.
Oh, they don't, okay, and then
Next
go
week
right
is
back on the 25th? No, that
No, they
next
go
week
back
is-
on the 2nd.
Yeah.
December 2nd.
Oh, okay, that's very helpful.
So just a week.
And is that the revised,
That's the revised one
Okay.
that I got.
okay,
2 days
so
ago,
Yeah, typically in November is really
is,
nothing.
okay, well, let me
There's
ask the
really nothing
parents
on
in
there.
the room. Is anybody
CO.
here not going to be available the 26th because their kids are out of school?
I won't be here.
Okay,
Okay, are you talking 26 November?
yes, sir.
Where is Thanksgiving fall this year?
That week.
28.
20.
Oh, that's
Yes.
Thursday.
Just
I'm like-
looking for, we don't get Thanksgiving mixed up with this.
We
Yeah.
won't
We're
mess up
asking
your
on a
Thanksgiving.
Tuesday, Thanksgiving's always on a
I can tell
Thursday.
you 10:50.
I know it's on a Thursday.
Okay,
I'm
how
not
does
for
the
sure.
12th of November look for everyone?
I would.
I'm just trying to stay on Tuesdays. I don't know why. I'm just thinking.
The 12th of November is city council. We cannot have it in this chamber, but we can have it at another building because this is a
Oh, would
workshop.
we like to have this at Barnard's Mill? Would you like to host? No, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's
JC has
fine.
a hotel.
Yeah,
You
we
can
do
have it down at the
There's
mill.
room at that hotel to be able to host.
My
yeah.
mom loves that hotel.
I have
I mean, you can have it at the mill, you can have it at
I don't know if
JC's.
she loves the hotel
I
or
have
Miss
a tent.
Sheila. I don't know.
Probably.
She's going for it.
I think the
Let's
last.
just get it.
Okay, so, the 12th looks good for everybody
I
at
think
5
so.
o'clock.
I think so.
Well, it doesn't look good for everybody because some of us have to be at council meeting.
Were you planning on attending?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Okay,
I
so
would like to know by
the
CLG
12th
too.
doesn't work. Okay.
And the 5th is not gonna work because that's election.
That's elections. So it has to be the 12th or the 19th. Or let's do it on the
If you're in
26th.
November, we can do it November or December. That's what you
Does
told
a
us.
Wednesday work following council meeting on the 13th? No, okay. Does Monday, the 11th work?
Veterans Day.
November 11th.
That's veteran, yeah.
Yeah.
Does Monday, the 18th work?
Yeah, all Mondays are good, yeah.
Mondays are not good for you ever. No, just no Monday. You have a
I'm
standing
on the
appointment.
13th through the
Mondays
20th.
aren't usually good for me.
Oh, wait, well, let's say that. You're gone from the 13th through the 25th?
Through the 20th.
Through the 20th, okay.
What about the 4th? Is that too early?
No, I love the 4th.
Yeah.
And there's nothing going on here. Or you can have it on the 5th.
That's election
Oh,
day.
sorry. Okay. 4th.
Prior to
No.
election, we won't have it in this meeting. Now, we can always.
No, we're gonna, no,
We can do Casey or somewhere else, but they take this room up on election, right? I don't know about national election.
They
It's
do.
the national.
Yeah, no, they don't do it they only do this room for city elections.
Gotcha, that's what I was asking.
City
okay,
elections.
so
I haven't been
November
here for a
4th
national
is a
election.
Monday at 5 PM.
Okay.
That'll work.
Monday.
Then we just need to confirm it with Kelly.
Yes,
Yes.
now, do we want to take an alternate date
I
just in
think we
case,
should.
just in case there's a hiccup? So we're talking about the 5th, right? November,
Mm-hmm.
4th.
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 5 PM, you say?
4th of November. Okay, what's second choice?
Hang on, let's go back.
How does Wednesday, the 6th?
About me?
Yeah, that's good too. It depends who gets
No.
elected on it. It depends on who gets elected.
I was gonna say-
It's coming.
I thought it, but I didn't say it.
Anything after the 5th, you're gonna be dealing
With one or the other.
The 6th is good.
Well, they
Okay.
don't take office until the 20th of January, no matter
Oh, I
who
don't think
takes
that's
it.
gonna matter.
Doesn't matter.
No, it's gonna be fun, baby.
All right, let's.
Drill, baby, drill.
So considering, if all heck doesn't break loose, we'll convene on either the 4th or the 6th
Correct.
at 5
All
PM.
right.
All right, 2 optional dates. We'll send that to,
And I think we actually, because of where that's, I think we actually have to vote on this.
No.
It's in our items for consideration.
I just have it as a discussion.
Oh, it's a
It's a
discussion
discussion.
item. Okay, perfect. Oh, I didn't, sorry, I didn't. I got
I think
glasses, I
everything
can read
has
it.
been on discussion,
Okay,
but we've been making motions.
No.
well, wasn't that
I
more
do
fun?
Are we done with that one now?
Yes.
Now,
Use for
let's
this.
discussion regarding routine, it's not routing maintenance. It's not
We're gonna
routing.
take a 5-minute break.
Oh, go for it. It's not routing, by the way, it's routine. that came over, the way it came in an email, from Heather, it was.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that, I should have read that it said discussion that we didn't have to vote.
But it's.
But to adopt the paint colors, I think you kind of have
Adopt
to,
the paint colors,
yeah.
we need to take.
Well, you know, either
I'm
or.
going, getting cold too.
It's freezing in here.
And just so you know, whoever said this was gonna be a short meeting, I
Usually
seriously
cold.
laughed at that
Yeah, my
person.
chickens aren't happy right now.
There was
I
a
don't know
lot
how
of
she
stuff
knows-
on there.
I don't know how she knows her chickens aren't happy because she ain't there.
They're not.
Oh, because they
happy
like to be
they
put
live
down
now.
this time.
Have you ever seen your chicken smile?
Yes, when they come chasing after me because they know I've got snacks.
That's not smiling. All right, we have one item left.
Actually, when you hug your chicken and rock them, they make this really little
I don't have a chicken,
It's-
so
It's a
my
content
chickens
little
are
sound.
still in eggshells or in the refrigerator, in the freezer. So my chickens are definitely out, I guess. Routine maintenance.
The flag. This is a thing. I guess hope it's metal or wood.
It looks like it's
Now, did somebody have something already prepared for routine maintenance? Because all I have is an
I think
action
this was
form.
Heather that was going to present this.
Something you could
Do
hurt
we want to
somebody
move
with.
that to another meeting? Would that be
I
just-
don't know, what her intention was
'cause I
with
don't actually-
this.
Yeah, I don't actually.
Is this
I
From
actually
our
don't have-
actual ordinance?
No, what we're talking about routine maintenance. What is routine and what is, oh,
Somebody's
yeah,
ripped
did
the
you have that form?
Yeah, she has a sample.
You know what? She sent that to me.
Is
but
that
I
from
didn't-
our actual
let me-
ordinance
let me
or
look
though?
at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our ordinance.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
our ordinance.
That's
Yeah,
our ordinance.
This is what exists in our.
I think what the intent, and
You have
I
to call it
can't
back.
speak for.
Oh.
I call the meeting back to order. All in favor? Okay.
7:41.
All right. At 7:41, the meeting is back in order. I think that the intention of Ms. Heather's submittal for discussion on this item was to clarify what is routine maintenance, although it's already in our ordinance. There's things in here I don't know that are called out. For example, if somebody is going to paint their building the same exact color that has already been approved, why, some people feel strongly that they need to fill out a COA and come here. Other people feel that is routine maintenance that should be signed off. Now, we still would like a form on it, just to go in their packet, just say, hey,
That's all I really.
That's all it is
Paper trail.
anyway.
We need a
Yeah.
paper trail.
We need to,
Okay, let's talk about what routine maintenance actually means.
first of all, I agree, I would talk,
I'm just saying, I think that's what her intention was, but I don't know.
You don't need a COA for routine maintenance by the ordinance.
But city would like us to have routine maintenance clearly defined, and our definition as it stands leaves some things out. Like, for example, I don't know that it says in here that if you're painting your property the same color that it already is.
that people consider that routine maintenance.
Yeah, so we need to add to this to
A good
include
example would
more.
be what happened on the Campbell building, or even what happened with the porch that was damaged by the tree limb, and they fixed it and got in trouble because they fixed that porch. That's routine maintenance.
Well, I think that's what Ms. Heather's intention
That's what
is,
she
to
was looking
clarify
for.
this
Those
here.
kinds of
Here's the-
examples.
That's not, here's the thing,
That's
and this
not
is the way I
routine.
look at it. It's okay for you to paint our historic preservation officer, no matter who that officer is, has the discretion, because if you look at the COA, has the discretion, if it's approved paint color, she signs off on it, then she sends it, whoever the HPO officer is, signs off on color XYZ, because it was on the approved list.
Now, that's a bad idea. That's exactly what
just-
we were just talking about. No, if it's the same color that they're painting it, yes. If it's coming off the approved palette, they still need to come here, because that's exactly what we're talking about. You getting a yellow, blue, and pink building on the square.
But that's not
because
painting it
one
back the-
person made a decision.
That's not painting it back the same way.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we need to clarify, if you're painting it the same color that it already is, that is just routine maintenance.
Right, and your HPO officer should be able to sign off on
Right.
that, and then she just sends it over to us as a consent agenda item for the next month. And we just approve it like we do ordinary, like that, so that it goes into the paper file.
But what the point of this is that is not clarified in here. What exactly is routine maintenance? And I think that Heather is looking, and Larry as well,
Yeah, I'm
as
definitely.
what
looking.
is routine
But that's what
maintenance.
I was just, okay, then maybe I'm not
But it's
wording
not
it,
in here.
right, but maybe I'm not saying it.
No, you're saying it right. If you're painting the same color, you don't need to come before us, but we need that to be in here as routine
But you
maintenance.
still have to fill out a certificate of appropriateness, so it can
I'm
come
not
here.
sure that's true. That's what we were talking about with Heather, is whether or not you even need a COA if you're doing just taking care of the same color,
I
the
do
same
think that
thing.
routine maintenance does require a CO with other cities as well. And it just is, you fill out a
Yes.
COA, it's super quick, HPO signs off on it, nothing comes to us.
We might want to hold this for when Heather comes in.
Because the point of it is this, and here's why. Because if you're replacing something that is part of whatever it's routine maintenance, 15 years down the line, it helps the people sitting up here to know, oh, that's not, that's not an original window, or, oh, that's the same color. It's got 4 coats of the same noir on it, or something like that. It's just a quick paper trail so that people know what's been done on their building. When they perhaps purchase a building, they get that dossier, as Dee likes to call it, with their building. And it's just tracking that kind of stuff.
And one of the things that we talked about, Heather and I, was when we're talking about, there's certain things that people need to do, they're required to do by city ordinances other than the Historic Commission, and that is maintain their buildings. Now, we're about to embark on that pathway now that I have a full staff, and we're gonna start making people fix their buildings when they're in deteriorated condition. That's not really the norm down here, in the actual district. But in many places, we have buildings that will be raised and they'll be torn down. Are they gonna be in a historic district? Not the ones I'm looking at, not unless you wanna include that little green house over here on the other side of Cedar.
Well, you have to think way beyond. See, you're thinking just historic district. So the Historic Resources Survey covers a multitude of properties throughout the city. That is not just the district
this is-
overlay. And the Historic District National Register nomination and what's listed extends beyond that. So
We are gonna be talking about different types of maintenances that are going to be required. And I don't need an extra layer on those when we start those. These are being asked for from city council.
Okay, but
They're
city,
asking me about this.
right, and that's fine.
We don't
But-
need any extra layers on it. It needs to be processed through a court. And if
Well-
it has to go there, it has to go there.
Then you have to change the ordinance to say that this is what you want routine maintenance to
That's why we
be.
need to have this discussion,
And
because there's more to this than just what I know.
sure,
There's all stuff that Heather was working on.
it doesn't matter that it's an extra layer for you. It is what it is. As long as the ordinance says this is what we're supposed to do, that is what council has tasked us to carry out the ordinance
Okay.
that they have approved. So unless we
We're
have
not-
something
yeah,
different, we don't know.
Let's leave this right here because I'm gonna disagree with you straight off. When I come as a building official to demolish a structure, nothing's gonna stand in that way. It's gonna go to court. And that's
Well,
what
you can
council's
disagree
tasked
with
me
me all
to,
you
that's what
But
council
I work
tasked me
for
to do.
council. I work at the pleasure of council. And if council
Okay.
has an ordinance that has very specific language and they say in the ordinance, and HPC is tasked to carry
When
this
I
out,
bring it to
that's my
demolish-
job.
When I bring it to demolish, you can't order a building demolished. I have to do that. I'm the authority having jurisdiction. This is confusing for how we process.
then you talk to council and change the ordinance.
Okay.
Until that
Okay,
day, I am
okay.
following what I have
Okay.
been tasked to do as my appointed position.
Okay, I'm not gonna
Melinda?
debate this. Let's bring.
if you'll
Heather
read
in
the
to talk
ordinance
about
that
it.
we have, he can't just demolish, he can't go just to court to demolish a
I have
building
to take it to city council.
that is within the historic district without it coming
I
here
think we're
first.
talking about an extreme, like, I just want to talk about routine maintenance, like,
I know, and he's
and what-
taking it to the extreme,
the
so let's
ordinance
just,
says,
Once
you know.
again, I'm just telling you that there are things that conflict with what the building code tells us to do. Building code is statute with the city. Okay, statutory. I don't want to get into that debate. I don't want to get into that deep side. This is not for us to argue about. This is
I'm
for
not
something that has been researched by Heather. Let's have Heather sit and talk with us about it. I don't want to make any kind of decisions on what routine maintenance is until we really have clarification. All right, and this might help. I don't know if CLG will help with that on clarification, but we need to have clarification on whose responsibilities are where and whose authority is in place. Now,
And that
I
should
don't
be in
want
the
to, and
ordinance.
that's what I'm saying. I don't want to get into the debate about authority having jurisdiction, because I am the authority having jurisdiction when it comes to the maintenance code and the building codes and the demolition that happens with those things. That is a very specific forms that we use and process that we use. Working on it right now at city council's request. So understand that I don't want to get in a fight with historic. I want to maintain historic. I'm a fond believer in
You're
historic.
not, but you're not hearing me at, you know, I don't think you're hearing me that it's not my job to interpret the ordinance as written that council has approved. My job is to carry it out to the best of my understanding. And if council would like to change that, by all means, that is absolutely at their discretion. But until they change that and add more clarification,
Well, that's the whole point
You
of
know-
having this discussion, because I don't want to get in a debate with y'all. There has been attempts to alter the historic commission ordinance right now, but that went to the wayside for a while, and I just assume stay that way. I'm not having a problem with it necessarily with the status quo as we are. I'm just asking the question that I don't know everything that Heather's researched on this. She had a specific presentation to do, and I don't have any more than what you have right there.
and you know what, to be honest with you, I've done a ton of research on this already when Troy brought this up months and months ago, and we met at your office. And there is not a super good definition of routine maintenance that I have come up with that other
I
cities
don't
have.
think we would see it anywhere now.
It's,
Routine
and
maintenance
we've
is-
looked, we have
What the
looked.
courts tell me with these types of things, it's like workmanship like manner. They will say the same thing about routine maintenance. They'll call that subjective, and the courts won't touch it.
Right, and whether or not routine maintenance is done within a historic district or to a local landmark or to a national register, to the courthouse
I
or
think
whatever,
The definition
you
for the
know.
purpose of historic commission needs to be what routine maintenance entails, what it actually matters. When it comes to building code, it's different.
Sure.
Okay, it's different in there. When it comes to historic preservation district, we want routine maintenance to be defined a little bit clearer about what will be allowed to be decided without having to come for the commission. So we need to get that done. There's more involved here, and I'm hearing Ann right here out of this ear, because that's my good ear. We need to get a little bit more specific on what we're doing and how the process should happen.
And I absolutely
And let's
agree
get
with you on
Heather
that,
here
yeah.
to do that. Now, I can call her because she said I could, but it's getting a little late right now.
Well, I know that Melinda and I have looked at this. We've talked to Kelly. We've looked at others. There's, you can go like to large municipalities like Dallas. They have an ordinance, they have a ordinance for every district that they have up there is different than, like, the Bishop Arts has an ordinance and this, that, and the other. And they all, yeah, they all determine it how it can be. I still will, it needs a paper trail. That's all I'll say. Regardless of whether you consider it ordinary or not, it needs a paper trail. And who has that
And maybe that
approval?
doesn't even, and maybe some of that, I don't even know what the legalities or what the standards are, but maybe it doesn't even have to be a COA. Maybe it's just some kind of
That's-
typed
that's why I
up,
say
you know,
Heather's been more involved in this.
do you know what I
than
mean?
I
Like
have.
just a note that's
And I
in
had a
there.
brief discussion today with her about it. Routine maintenance, we really need to figure out what that means to y'all. So that I'm
Well,
not out
just
here
like,
pounding on somebody because they didn't have a COA, because they put, some improvements on their paint that was already that color. When I gave the example of Campbell Building, it went back to what the state approved for it back when it's on the state registry. When they approved it, it was the exact same color. They were
Mhm.
just fixing, repairing the windows. That's routine maintenance to me.
Oh, yeah, I
Change the
agree.
window.
but that particular building is a recorded landmark with the state, and the recorded
Oh, yeah,
landmark.
you have to ask permission.
You have
for-
to ask
from the
permission
state.
30 days ahead of time with the state for recorded landmarks for things that you do. It's
So that's
in,
not us.
Okay, back to the story. What does it mean to the historic?
It doesn't
commission
matter
and
what
to
we
the
say
state?
routine maintenance is with
Here's
state
the recorded landmark.
landmarks.
That's just one.
They actually, no, I'm just letting you know though. So
but
there are
you use
things
that
the
as an
state,
example, so that's the reason I went
there,
back to
there are
that.
sometimes the state
I used
requires
another
things
example.
that we
I used
have
another
no
example. When the
jurisdiction
Portsmouth
over.
got damaged, it went right back the way it was.
No, it did not.
What was the change?
Well, that's the thing, we don't know. Because they took it upon,
What-
taking
you
it
got a
down,
survey of
taking it
everything?
down was
What
not
are
the
we talking,
problem.
which one?
But there was no reason for them not to come to us. It fell off the
Okay,
the
there
appropriate.
was an emergency.
It was
This is
not an
where I'm gonna
emergency.
debate with all of you.
It was not
I
an
don't know what
emergency.
we're talking,
Like
what
that.
building we're
Emergency order?
talking about.
When there's an emergency order by the building department, y'all don't have a say in it.
Well,
That
actually,
emergency order is an emergency order, and that has to do with life safety.
With that building,
Now,
Actually,
we're not
you-
gonna argue that point.
actually, you didn't know that was done until after it was finished. Because I stood there and I asked,
I'm not even sure if I was. I'm
yes,
not
you
even-
were,
Okay,
because I
now-
said something about a
when the
tree.
damage occurred,
Yes, he was. And I said something about a tree on that particular building, and that's all I knew was about a tree. And you said something about a porch. I didn't know anything about the porch. There was a huge tree that had fallen. And I said, oh, I hope somebody lets them know that tree's down. It was huge tree.
It was a big branch off of the tree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I had asked about.
Damaged the building. Now, we're
It was
having
on the
a lot of
cottage.
Those kind of collapses around town. Where these branches are coming down, and like, we're getting some big limbs coming down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Deteriorated old, the trees are not healthy.
What
And
was
so
also
we're seeing these things
suggested.
happen, but if there's an emergency situation, we may have to act. Now, the fire department deals with me on these kind of things. If we have a major fire and we need to push that building in, we're gonna push it in. There's not gonna be a seal, and come back, whatever you wanna come back with later, but there won't be a permission before it's done. If it is a life safety issue. So we need to maintain that idea. Now, we're off the path of what has to happen, but y'all need to understand, some things overrule
Can
historic
you,
commission.
when Heather comes to present this,
I think we should.
or call or whatever you want to do, but can you give us some bullet items of what you
I think I
want
need to work
to consider with
everyone else.
Heather? So it's
Yeah.
not just,
I think we need to coordinate it with the, because we're not trying to change what the board is, we just want clarification on things that are not clear. And they're not clear to our citizens either, and they're not clear to city council, and they're not clear to me. And we're not sure what routine is.
you need
That's
to
it.
work with the improve
Communication.
relations and communications
I-
with property owners.
We're working on this same thing with my division right now that we have a full staff,
Yeah.
we're talking about communication and what constitutes communication.
I think that actually is in here, Larry.
We're working on it.
I think there actually is a thing here somewhere that it says clarify for property owners, and I don't know where it is because I just know this by heart so well.
I think that
But what type of levels of work require a COA, and basically having that high level process for requesting COAs, processing COAs. I know routine maintenance is on here, so that's all
I
part
think
of
we're
the
looking at refining
communications.
that whole thing so that
Yeah.
we understand what it means and we can put it in a format that people understand. Business owners and property owners alike, residential, or whatever it is.
I think a
We need to
website is
have that,
gonna,
But that needs to also coordinate with.
that's
what-
gonna work wonders right there, just having a website and then having a contact person.
Well, that's why I mentioned that we are in administration starting to work on this website concept, and you've already talked to Troy about it, so you know we're onto it. This is just one of those priorities that we're finally getting here. I've complained about our website for a long time for our development section. And so we want to improve those, and I've got some tasks that'll have to be done for the web people. I don't know if they're called a webmaster or whoever's
Yeah,
doing
we're
the
off,
design.
we're off the tracks here.
But
Yeah.
we talked
You need
about
to
this.
call
Can we call
multiple
it a web wizard?
times,
Call
so
point of
Make
order.
sure we're coordinating with administration on whatever you're doing with your website.
Okay, so,
We should be done with this now, right?
okay, so let's let everybody get out of here. You guys have been champs. We are going to, unless there's any further discussion. I don't have my cheat sheet here.
I don't know what I did with mine.
All right, having no further business before the board, this
You need
meeting,
to table. Excuse me.
it was right off the table, it wasn't a
Oh, it's a
vote.
discussion. Excuse me, I apologize. I apologize.
That's right, we voted on enough discussion items.
Okay.
Okay, we are going to adjourn this meeting at 7:59 PM.
Now, y'all did